but it looks like they will actually get caught. That's gonna be one going down, one more possibly. It is the Ashmar falling in. Oh no, Casino was caught off guard too. So now only 3 members up, but they're in the middle of the rest of the team here. It's gonna be a full 6-man. Oh, you gotta be careful. You've got the energy cable, you got the repair cable along with the heal being used early on. Hades will get popped. They're not actually using the Methasol. They don't have it, or they might have actually popped it onto someone else as they charge forward. Now Ashmar punch being utilized as well, and the screaming Nimbus, everything being used from the defense here. Sucky, they were trying to play for that drop down to respond to either a point A or point B push, but now here's a concerted effort coming out from Minari, but they're not even going to be able to make it over to that waypoint. They already cleaned up. Transam, I believe, might have been used here. We do have the Unicorn ultimate going down, picking up 2, and now that's going to be the clean line. You can see they're trying to measure the defensive push, and now they end up losing out on their Sazabi, but the Hades has been used from the defensive side. They're at least bleeding out some of the ultimates, and with the time advantage that they had on point A, that's actually kind of good for them. Bleeding out 2 ultimates. Nimbus, they've got the Hades along with Transam to play off of here and put the initial pick onto Batty, and there's the screaming Nimbus coming on in. They want to play off of this to just create some space, allow their team to come on in, maybe even pick up a few, pick up 3 there for Casino on the dom.
You know, I was talking about the on points, 23 seconds left. They do have the mobility to seek somebody behind, but I don't know if they want to use that right away and split their team up. But oh, this is the turret got 2 kills. The turret got 2 kills from Memphis.
Yeah, set up though expertly by that Ashmar punch, who was just waiting around the corner that entire time. You get once you capture the points. Turn A Gundam has his butterfly ready to go, but he doesn't need to quite use it. We'll go ahead just in case. He'll have time try and build that one up as he clears out 2. They find 2 more picks here, so they're not going to risk anything at all whatsoever. They've got the huge man advantage, and now he gets one last over.
Right, there's 4 minutes left. That is a huge amount of time, and all they need to do is just get 2 more ticks. But that's one thing that I really like about Guntank, right? Gun on Exia makes Exia so hard to kill. Already it's a slippery target, but giving it that extra health that's like, I mean, it's already a high percentage of its health that it's giving extra. It becomes like this 2-man just killing squad. It's ridiculous, but oh, that was a nice chunk directly on the leg.
Back, he will have that faster charge to try and knock them back. It worked with that Ashmar punch, but instead just the presence alone. Transam has been used. They find 2. Listic has gone down. They need to get a man on the point now, and somehow Powerpuff Girls keep this alive.
Take that. Take that.
Being sniped out when you go for the repairs, you can see them start to just try and move forward. Max 94% to the ultimate.
Objective here. Payan does get Stolly. Carl Sagan gets Kyler, but the headshot comes. The 8 point is now under contest. And Dream hits those shots once more.
Stunned through. And it is now going to be just absolute.
Carl Sagan! Carl Sagan!
Carl Sagan coming in with the absolute clutch Zaku to melee G maneuver.
Welcome to the Gundam Evolution Breakout Series. This video will explain the format for competitive Gundam Evolution across the North America and European regions, and how you can become a participant in the series. Teams will participate in the Breakout Series for a chance to compete in the Gundam Evolution Newtype and Academy Leagues. The Breakout Series will include 2 regions, North America and Europe. Over 4 months, teams will fight to gain points based on placements in each event. Teams will compete in 6 total events to gather points to qualify them for the Newtype or Academy Leagues. Each event will host a 2-day double elimination bracket where the top 8 teams will gain points towards their qualification into the international leagues. At the end of the series, based on the rankings, the top 8 international teams will automatically qualify for the Gundam Evolution Newtype League. The following 4 will automatically qualify for the Gundam Evolution Academy League. For the Breakout Series, we will be implementing a map ban system. Teams will pick and ban maps based on the poll vote via the community. The maps that will be rotation for the Breakout Series are Underground Command Center, Harbor City, Mountain R&D Lab, Thermoplant, Quarry, Flag Fort, and Ministry of Defense. Additionally, we listened to feedback from the community, and we will be putting Zaku2 Melee in the competitive quarantine. This means that throughout the Breakout Series, Zaku2 Melee will not be allowed to be picked within competitive play. Next, let's talk about your paths into the Newtype League. Following the Breakout Series, 2 open qualifiers will be hosted for a chance for pilots to participate in the Academy League. Teams will participate in a double elimination style bracket, with the top 8 teams qualifying for the closed qualifiers. The top 2 teams at the end of each closed qualifiers will be invited to participate in the Academy League. The Academy League will feature 8 rising teams competing to hone their skills and play for a chance to promote onto the Newtype League. The Breakout Series is the beginning of an ecosystem where competitors across North America and Europe can compete to prove they are the best of the best. We look forward to seeing you compete, Pilot. It's time to earn your stripes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of Gundam's Grace, presented by the Gundam Evolution Newtype League. We are down to our top 3 teams, and to bring you the action, I am Evan Wonderchef Hashimoto, joined by James Jamerson Lee. We're back for day 2. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I am so excited for these matches, especially to see some more out of Team Sucky Vampires right now, because we did not get to see enough of them yesterday.
Yeah, we've got some really incredible teams that have either not been here for the previous tournament. We didn't have, for example, Bork at the Halloween Havoc tournament, or some teams that we were seeing doing better and better, like Powerpuff Girls, and then Team Sucky Vacuums, of course, and being a kind of like an all-star team mix of a lot of the other great teams that we've had. So I'm very excited to see it. But if any of you did, in fact, miss day 1, we do have a highlight video where you get to see some of the sick plays, so let's check it out.
On these outer points.
Yeah, that 12% is just because they left the point pretty early to kind of get in position, which maybe could have held a little bit longer, but doesn't really matter. And again, the fight here up on the high ground they are going to be pushing for it. It does look like we have the Hero on the other side, the big punch, and that's why Ashimar is so good on this map. That is the perfect angle, the perfect range for the punch shot right there. You can see that extra health from okay, we're going to see the Screaming Nimbus. You can actually knock a lot of people into the wall here, into the water. Regardless, it doesn't even matter.
Unclumping, right? They're not allowing themselves to get one shot by that Ashmar punch. Nice Trans Am engage there. There's going to be a 2-for-2 exchange, but looks like maybe, quite possibly, a first team fight win going on over. They still have 3G maneuvers. Never mind, Carl Sagan, the unseen threat.
And here we go. We see actually the Methods boosted Exia here, but not able to get anything, as we see 2 picks from Bitey on the turn A. 3 picks now from Bitey on the turn A.
It's going to be traded back and forth, actually. No one finding a pick quite yet, but they are grouped up here on the right-hand side, and Zeros will be able to find one. Batty finds one more for his squad. Get off of that mega health pack, but as they charge forward, the axe doesn't quite connect. That's the C-snare coming in, and they're able to charge in with that follow-up. Great utilization of that Marasai ult. G maneuver ready, pop, the push out, 1 shot left, basically remaining there, as Fusion Blackie does find one with that overhead throw, but Saris will fall once again. Batty coming up clutch, and he has been a one-man army. Looks like there are going to be a few trades. The turn A will get onto that A site, get that plant down.
Not here to stop this. Like you said, you can hit so many people at once. Whoa! So much damage!
Like a bad plan for them. They have been able to turn around. The turn A butterfly ultimate coming down, as well as this is such a fractured fight. It seems like there's 6 individual fights going on, with turn A coming in to clean up all of them.
This was entirely, it was one person that set up the bomb. It was one person that defended the bomb as everybody else got back. And then it was that big G maneuver that defended the bomb fully from the entire team fight. That was like MVP moment. MVP moment might be correct. That was such a good spot yesterday. Of course, that was from IQ. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see them in the bracket. They did exit at 4th place yesterday. So let's take a look at actually how things played out in the bracket so far, because like I said, we are down to, of course, our top 3 teams.
Yeah, Team Sucky Vampires and Bork. That's going to be our first match of the day here in the winners finals. And you see Powerpuff Girls waiting now in the lower bracket finals to see who they will be facing off against. It was Team Sucky Vampires that ended up sending Powerpuff Girls down here. And I feel like this is just the story of Powerpuff Girls. Make the lower bracket run and see how far they can go. But they impressed the entire way anyhow.
Yeah,
Oh,
Powerpuff
vampires,
Girls.
I'm sorry. Vacuums, not vampires.
I kind of like that. I kind of like vampires, but in a way, it works either way. We'll take it. But yeah, Powerpuff Girls, they are just such a strong team. You mentioned this yesterday, but in the losers bracket, and both now events that we've casted, this one and Halloween Havoc, both that and Gundam's Grace, they've been knocked into the losers a little bit early, and they did go out at 4th in the previous tournament, but this time they've made it all the way back up to at the very minimum 3rd. They're just continuing to improve as a team. They've been one that's really been impressing us. But teams like Vacuums and Bork, I mentioned this earlier today, neither of them have been in, neither of them were fully in as their full teams the previous tournament in Halloween Havoc. Bork, of course, I think they were all busy. We knew that they were a great team. They did very, very well in the very first tournament, the Pilot Showdown, but the full team of Team Sucky Vacuums was, well, I guess currently it's comprised of all players that were there last time, but all from different teams, 3 different teams. So we didn't know how they were going to play today. We knew that every single player was ridiculous on there as far as just like mechanical skill, but it seems like their synergy is exactly up to par with that, as both of the teams that we've had in the winners bracket and the winners finals have basically gone completely undefeated, not even all that close. But actually, speaking of what's happening yesterday, we can actually take some look at these stats for not only what happened yesterday, but the overall league, as well as the we have had some really great like stat collection. I really appreciate that from everybody behind the scenes, but this is just for today, for yesterday.
And so it's all about who's going to come into top 3, right? And in the top 3 will be accruing points for themselves, 175 and 50, and it's just leading up to the Newtype League that will be taking place later on next year. But speaking of everything else that was going on throughout the weekend so far, I mean, take a look at those map bans. We saw so much Mountain R&D play yesterday.
Yeah, and you can see it's now pushed it to be the top map of the entire series so far, which was for sure Flak Fort after Halloween Havoc, but things have changed. People are playing very differently, and you can see here every single team that is on this list in yellow, of course, are the teams that still have the chance to make more points. So this is not where things are going to end. It's definitely where things are going to end for any of the teams that are in the white, but Team Sucky Vacuums, Team Bork Gundam, and Team Powerpuff Girls, they're all going to be moving really far up. I believe they're going to all end guaranteed within the top 4 of our rankings. Inadizaki will be one of the other spots. I'm not sure exactly which order it's all going to be, and of course that all depends on who does well in the tournament. But yeah, Mountain R&D Lab, that's been the story for sure of this weekend so far. Flak Fort as well, you know, we're seeing a lot less, but we're still seeing it a decent amount. And Quarry, I think we saw that a little bit more, maybe off broadcast, but it's still around. It is a good map, and I really do like the fact that our top 3 maps of the entire series are actually 3 different modes, right? We've got a domination map, we've got a point capture map, and a destruction map. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, and we were treated to a really nice quarry map yesterday. And again, like you had mentioned at the end of the broadcast, I mean, the story of the day was Turn A Gundam. There were so many great moments, and it wasn't just, of course, from that last highlight reel from Fusion Blackie, but we also got to see basically almost every team pick it up and really run with it. And we can see the strength of that Turn A Gundam, regardless of the map type.
Yeah, that's the real cool kind of like meta shift that we've seen. We've seen a whole lot less Sazabi than in Halloween Havoc. We, of course, for anybody who did watch that intro video, there's a little correction just for this tournament in particular. Of course, we do have Zakuto Melee out of the competitive quarantine, as we do have the official Gundam Evolution Showdown coming up in just a few, like 2 weeks. I just checked what the date was. Just about 2 weeks, and that is legal there, of course. So we want everybody to be able to get maximum practice with the actual meta that they're going to be competing in over there. But we surprisingly haven't seen all that much Zakuto Melee. We thought maybe there'd be more Zakuto Melees, which would mean less Sazabis, but regardless, there was less Sazabis anyway, and more Turn A's. We've seen some more Marasais, we've seen some more Barbados, and so the meta is just shifting overall in general, and it's really cool to see.
I think most importantly, it is just coming down to the setting that we're in. This is a competitive setting where you have all 6 players coming, and it's a much different setting than you would find yourself in a ranked or casual gameplay, right? And so if you call out a threat, teams are ready to deal with it. And so it's much more difficult for the Barbadoses, along with the, I mean, we even got to see Zakuto range not get much value at all, which particularly in ranked, in casual play, you get a lot more value off of those individual units. But here, when teams are coordinated, they are not able to find that same kind of space. Now, Exia, though, Exia still seems to be a main staple in these rosters.
Yeah, I was mentioning yesterday, I think Exia is just so good because it doesn't have to be the flanker, right? It can be. It's one of the best flankers, maybe the best flanker, but if you can't safely flank, then sure, it'll just be super long range, or it'll just check people around corners and then like dodge back so that it never actually gets picked. So yeah, we of course see Exia in almost every match. I think we had one team yesterday that chose not to use Exia, and it didn't quite work out for them. But Exia, yeah, it's definitely, I would say, the overall biggest meta deciding suit at the moment, and I expect that we're probably going to see it from all the three main teams today. We're pretty familiar with them at this point. There are players on each team that are pretty well known, I would say, for using each of their own particular suits, so I don't think we're going to see anything super surprising. Definitely in the losers bracket, there's a chance that we're going to see some shifts from Powerpuff Girls, but in our first match of the day, of course, which is going to be the winners finals, it is going to be the team Sucky Vacuums against Bork, which we're actually going to get the map picks for now, picks and bans. This is, of course, still going to be 2 out of 3. We're going to move into 3 out of 5 for the grand finals, but this is going to be essentially a normal match. Yeah, and the comps for these teams, I expect to stay relatively what we've seen.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, Flackford is actually going to be the first map being banned out, followed up by Harbor City. And we know that, not too many teams love playing on that Harbor City. We got to see it, I think twice in our matches yesterday, but it does still remain to be one of the highest banned maps, I would say, overall. But Flackford is the one that's surprising me the most.
Yeah, I feel like we don't usually see flack for it, but it looks like, okay, this is all backwards, 100% backwards. We see that maybe one of the most picked maps banned immediately and one of the most banned maps picked immediately, which is going to be Ministry of Defense. We have not seen that a single time on the broadcast this time around. We saw it one time at the very final, deciding match for the previous tournament, Halloween Havoc, but this is a very rare map. And then afterwards, we're going to go to a considerably less rare map, which is going to be that Mountain R&D lab.
Yeah, I mean, we started a lot of matches yesterday with Mountain R&D, but again, that big surprise, Flackford getting banned and followed up by Ministry of Defense being the first map pick. And so that's absolutely surprising. I mean, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to Ministry of Defense. That one time that we got to talk about it last for Halloween Havoc wasn't enough to really talk about the depth that comes down to this gameplay. I mean, for a destruction map, this is a completely different destruction map than what you would see on something like Quarry, because again, when Quarry, you start off, right, fighting for that waypoint. Ministry of Defense, that first waypoint is more of an option for the offensive side.
Yeah, this is, I would say, the most unique of its type of map, right? Like you said, you can totally, I've seen so many times where even good teams will completely take the first point without taking the waypoint even like a single time, or, it gets taken back and they're like, we don't really care because we already planted. So it really is a really tough decision, honestly, on both sides, right? As defense, do you defend the waypoint or do you just let them have the waypoint? Because they're so close anyway that sometimes you send people over to defend the waypoint. By the time you do that, half your team gets wiped on the actual point, and then they plant, and then it's very hard to defend. But a lot of times we do see teams stick right on the point and just defend on the point, and there's just so many ways that the enemy team can come from. That's what makes it really difficult. There's a lot of really open shots. There's not a lot of really good safe angles. There's some underground kind of, I want to say, under the building where the first A and B points are. There's some a little bit further back, but overall, the reason why we barely see this map is because it can be very chaotic, and it's very hard to set a set strategy like we see, for example, like you said, on Quarry, where it's like, okay, they're pushing through middle to this first waypoint. We know exactly which direction they're coming from. We know exactly the two choke points they can come from, the stairs and the front area, I don't know what to call it, and we're just going to watch those two. This one, it's like they could come from the main entrance, they can come from the side with the waypoint, they can come from the side on the I don't know, where the building is, where the platform is up a little bit higher. They can fly over if they have flyers, and there's a bunch of different directions they could fly over, so it's not like we're just going to sit up and just watch one particular angle just in case anybody flies over. It's very chaotic. And then you get to the second set of points and you're like, okay, now it's a completely different game where we have a bunch of indoor spots than very close-up spots. And so we tend to see, well, maybe not always if you have a really high meta team, but there are a lot of times where you see some not full, but half squad changes when you get to the second points. And then the distances are different as well. It's just all very chaotic.
Yeah, and I think in this particular map, we did get to see, I believe it was Carl Sagan, picking up that turn 8 Gundam, and I think it's going to be another crucial pick, especially for this map. We got to see why on destruction maps it's so good on the offense. On the post plant, it's such a good defensive post plant unit to be using. So I fully expect Carl Sagan to pull that one out, but also on the same side for Bork to pick that one up as well. And when it comes to the first half of the map, I mean, that's kind of going to necessitate having to plant on that A side, on that top side for that first half, just because it's easier to get the sight lines if you're coming in for the respawns to try and get that collateral damage out with the turn 8 Gundam, and transitioning into the second half because of the indoor qualities of both of the plant sites. You're able to just fly over it with that turn 8 Gundam G maneuver to really just delay and basically win a team fight out in its own. So I think this is going to be another map where we're going to see a lot of presence coming out from the turn A.
Yeah, I could very much see that, especially on the first point. That's a site where I actually see a lot of people even like switch to Gem Sniper if they do get the waypoints, just to be able to defend once they've actually planted. You can see right here, this is the A, and the waypoint's right over there. That's left up the ramp. So you can spawn, walk literally like one jump away, and then you can see where the bomb is planted. And so even if people come over to try to fight you, you can kind of retreat back to your spawn. There's a bunch of people by you, and it's very, very hard to disarm on A. But let's see which, well, first of all, we'll see what suits everybody's picking, and we do see actually the Gem Sniper. So this might be Carl Sagan on it. Actually, I don't know if they're locked into this. There's still 20 seconds left. We do see a Mahiru. That would be very surprising.
Yeah, if they decide to maybe try and go and plant down on B side, the Mahiru can be really good, but no, he's going to swap off, and it looks like it's going to be fairly mirrored compositions coming out from either side. I don't believe they were running the Gem Sniper for Team Sucky Vacuums, but it's going to be Bork here on the offense first. And now, that big question, are they going to try and play for that waypoint? It looks like there is some presence coming out from the defensive end, but it's going to be a kind of split up defense here. You can see one player controlling that right lane that you were talking about for that high ground, while the rest of the team actually backs away to try and put a stop to any push coming in, and they are going to fight over the waypoint.
All right, yeah, we are gonna hold this kind of middle ground. This is another kind of usual spot. It just comes in immediately, and Zim goes down. Of course, one of the most ridiculous Pale Rider players that we've seen in this entire series. But already you can see there's fights happening in about 3 different places. We're gonna see, in fact, the Ashmar go down, and this is just why this map is so chaotic. You can see it's just a bunch of little skirmishes.
Yeah, just backing away. They've already lost one. They want to regroup for themselves. They take that high ground now, but they're able to isolate out the Methus. Nox falls, and he gets finished off. But that's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. The Exia finally going down, and so Team Sucky Vacuums will go ahead and reestablish themselves, but the waypoint is still there. We'll see if they can try and challenge for that right now. It looks like there are respawns already coming in for Team Bork, and Listic is able to find one more onto Kaki. That might actually create an opening for them to try and go in with the numbers advantage, try and find a little bit more. Bitey has gone down. You can see even charging forward with that Pale Rider, looking for a little bit, and there it is, the space to go ahead and take back that waypoint.
Yeah, this is a really heavily coordinated push to take back this waypoint. But the thing you have to worry about is that the other team is going to be spawning very, very close to the point. They have time to get back, but just barely. You can see there's already people that have a line of sight on the point. They're kind of running through that side, the building side. And that's what's so difficult about it. Like, if you coordinate to try to take that waypoint back, sometimes they just get there in time. They can sneak a plant with an Ashmar or a Methus, but great mobility and great coordination by Team Sucky Vacuum so far.
Exia with the Trans Am on in, but it's going to be Legacy picking up 2 with the Sazabi. And so now that push has been shut down. Throughout all of that, though, we do have Team Bork trying to capture themselves that waypoint. It doesn't look like for Team Sucky Vacuums, they are in position to try and challenge that. But again, it all just comes down to that one pick. That's what they were able to play off of last time, to try and go ahead and push that 6v5 advantage, to slow things down, to take over that waypoint and send them back to the original spawn.
Yeah, they're holding such great positions here, and then we see an attempted plant on B. It's not going to work out. They're going to be trading 1-for-1, the Legacy going down, and now Listic going down. So this could be a potentially really good opportunity for Team Bork, but they just need to find the right moment to plant, and that can be very, very difficult just because there are so many different angles that you can see these bombs from.
Yeah, again, it looks like this is fractured fights, right? Maybe 2 or 3 different fights taking place. A lot of duos just kind of running together with that wingman. But here we go. It looks like the Exia is ready to try and dash on in, misses out on that stun, but he's still trying to get it into the middle of these two players, finds one knock, that healing pad coming down just a little bit too late, and he's going to secure the thirst before he gets out. He gets a nice armor gun to actually buy some time, get back to that mini health pack, and now he is ready if he wants to pop that Trans M, but he is so low and he will not get out. Another nice hold coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums.
Yeah, name a more signature duo than Exia and Armor Gun. I don't think there's one in this game. That is the ultimate combo. But you could this is just ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous. This has been a non-stop fight for the past like 2.5 minutes. There's just been nobody's stepping on the brakes at all. And it's just 100%. That's the weirdness of this map, is that you spawn so close to the points on both sides. So you really have to get one coordinated big full push. You have to get one pick and then just continue with that momentum to get that plant, and then from there it can be very difficult. But they're not even getting close right now. They started one plant, but oh yeah, wow, that actually got a G maneuver kill.
Yeah, the Super Napalm actually coming in and finding one. It's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange, but it looks like finally Bork Gundam might have found an opening here. They get a plant down on that B site, which is a little bit scary here as the Exia comes on in, cleaning up a little bit more. Legacy has fallen, but the Hades is putting in work for the other side now. They might just be able to get the defuse. We'll see. The Mega Charge still counting down right now, getting that res, and now they'll get that disarm on the Mega Charge, and it looked like a great push, but we know the strength of that Hades and not this entire defense. Team Sucky Vacuums have been doing an amazing job of just holding on and playing disciplined with their G maneuvers.
Yeah, they ran into okay, so it's just gonna push again. This is a little bit of maybe almost too much aggression from the side, I think, of Bork Gundam. They are just pushing in non-stop in no particular order, and you can see that they're just getting kind of picked off one at a time here. They're just kind of walking in a row, and it is very difficult to find the right spot to approach here, but this is probably going to be essentially a full team wipe. But by the time, of course, that all of these suits are dead, they're just going to start respawning nearly the same spot. And yeah, look at this, they're just rushing and they're just trying to find a moment. Of course, now there's no more time left. Will they get their single plan? It doesn't look like it, and that will be held at point A.
Yeah, that's a great map decision. It seems like coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums, it was their map choice, by the way, and you can see why. Their defense absolutely stellar, only 51.3% on that first Mega Charge plant for Bork Gundam. The Team Sucky Vacuums, they have a really good goalpost that they set up for themselves. Now, again, we'll see. I think with this kind of presence, with 51.3%, Team Sucky Vacuums might actually just go straight to the point and not even try and waste any time on that waypoint.
Yeah, that's really can be a very good strategy, especially because there are 2 lanes that go to the point already. Like, even if you just completely ignore the fact that there is a waypoint, that is one of the big strengths. Like, for example, when we see the second point on Quarry, the biggest advantage is that you do get 2 lanes by having that available, that second spawn available. But this time there's already 2 lanes, so you're just giving yourself a 3rd lane. And of course, it does spawn you a little bit closer, but not that much closer, as you can see on the map right there. So I do think a rush here, just right through the left side, could be a great choice. And I do want to say, we saw just a little bit of, again, the weirdness in this map. I think we see it a lot in most of the destruction maps, where one of the points is easier to plant at, but if it's easier to plant at, it's harder to defend once you've actually planted. And that's B here, right? Way less line of sights to B, but once they actually come back in and try to team wipe you, they can defuse a lot safer. A, if you can get that plant, which is very difficult, is one of the easiest, I would say, bomb sites in the entire game to defend once you actually, get there, because you could just get like 20 different line of sights. But here we'll see if they can manage to plant it on anywhere. It almost doesn't even matter with this amount of time. We are going to see a little bit more of a forward defensive holding at the spawn, and that's a little bit scary. Maybe it's trying to build some meter, but no, actually trying to get some picks here, and they are going to get at least Tazim.
Yeah, but he should be able to respawn, and it looks like they're going to feign some interest over at this waypoint. They do actually get it down, and that might just be in time for his respawn as they try to charge forward. But that Ashmar puts in so much work there as they charge forward. Yeah, Tism is instantly, as he gets respawn in, is able to get that first knock. Now might be able to find a little bit more. They are absolutely staggered on the Bork defense here, and they are chasing them down, cleaning them up before they get that bomb plant down. The Mega Charge, it looks like they are feigning for that A site, as Carl Sagan does end up going down. They want to clear up this Exia first because he is a general threat. having that stun, they'll have the big body of the Suzabi just to walk him down, and they are chasing him down 2v1. He's still somehow alive. Exponent gets out, actually finds a pick on Talistic throughout all of this, but he gets his pack stolen.
Okay, you can only run away from the entire enemy team for so long. It was a very valiant attempt, did a lot of damage, delayed them a really long time, but we'll see if that amount of time that's delayed is going to matter. We are getting, oh, very nice. We're going to see the Pale Rider from behind. That's going to be Tazim going down, and we are going to prevent the plant for at least a few more seconds, but with this many people on point, eventually the plant is going to go off on B. They only need about half the time, and they do have a pretty solid numbers advantage here.
And no one has back capped that waypoint quite yet. And so now, as the time ticks away, there's only 18 seconds remaining. Tism gets brought back into this game as Moist ends up falling on that Bork side. And it looks like it might just be a foregone conclusion. Team Sucky Vacuums now on the verge of taking our first map in this best of 3 in the winners finals.
Yeah, they're holding all the right angles. Just behind those boxes can be very difficult to hit. And like you said, that is going to be that. And so much of it was, honestly, it was really funny. You know, you pointed it out. They immediately picked off Tazim, but then Tazim kind of like spawned further forward than he was going to, right? Like he immediately spawned at the waypoint. It was like, oh, you kind of actually just like gave him a boost of movement. And that's another really difficult thing about holding so far forward on this map, is that it can really backfire if you, you know, because people spawn behind you, or they can spawn in front of you, or even if they die, they spawn like so close. So it's a weird map. Totally understand why it's usually banned. It takes a very unique strategy, but if you're really good at this map, as we can see right there, it can be a very dominant and quick map if you have your strategies ready, your other team doesn't. And clearly there was some knowledge there that they're like, okay, we're better at this map than the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it did come down to just that understanding of what happens. If you try to push that left side, that leaves them a little bit overextended or undermanned on that right side. So you saw an instant pivot, right? Tism ended up going down on the left. They quickly go to the right to take that waypoint on over. And like you said, he gets that forward spawn, gets brought right back on in. But it was the Ashmars from either side really being able to connect with their fire there and following up damage with that Pale Rider. Again, we're seeing why the Pale Rider is still just basically 100% pick rate throughout all of our matches. It's just such consistent damage and one of the highest DPS in the game.
And one of the highest healing in the game too, which is what we were talking about earlier, which is really funny, but it's true, quite honestly. Also, we saw a good use of, which is we don't get to see all the time, right, of the grenade, the slowing grenade, which I can't actually remember the name of, EMP grenade or something like that. And it's not used all that often, but when you do have the ability to like hit an Exia with it, it can be one of the main ways that you can stop it from escaping all the situations that it really wants to escape from. We see it a lot, of course, against some of the melee suits if they are within that range, but we're not getting as many melee suits right now. So if you can't hit on that Exia, it can be a game changer. Of course, we did see that amazing chase sequence. We should have added some Benny Hill music there of the Exia V4 just running for its life for about 20 seconds. And honestly, that was almost a really good delay, but not quite enough. And honestly, a very surprisingly strong first match. You know, both of these teams, I think they have just basically nobody stood up to them the entire time. It's been just clean 2-0s the entire way through. I expected this to be a relatively close set, and it still could be. It might be map unfamiliarity. We are going to go to a much more familiar map now, but that was pretty dominant.
Yeah, Mountain R&D, I feel like this is basically when we swap off and we might actually see the Suzabi coming out from the Bork side. I don't know if they actually ran Suzabi at all yesterday, but with how strong that our team Sucky Vacuums are running with that standard composition, basically exactly what we saw coming out during Halloween Havoc, that Bork might want to try and adopt that as well, because they need a little bit more HP, because it's not going to be as easy to punch through, right? Again, he was doing an amazing job, I would say, Legacy, on that Suzabi. He was very rarely going down on that map. I mean, granted, it was a short one, right? With, I think, total match time of like 6 minutes or something like that, but he was doing a fantastic job as that Suzabi on a map that particularly sometimes can be a little bit difficult to play because of the long sight lines.
Yeah, of course, you know, we've talked about the two players from Team Sucky Vacuums a good amount that, or sorry, we've talked about One of them, a good amount, is what I was going to say. We've talked about Carl Sagan a lot, the two of the kind of original Team Sucky Vacuums players, but we haven't actually talked about Legacy all that much. Of course, an extremely strong player. I think that the original Legacy team may have been the first players to hit Newtype. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure. I do remember running into them on Ranked, and it was matching me up as a silver against them because they were just nobody. They climbed too fast, and I remember being super salty. They were like, GG's, as they camped us in our spawn, and I was like, no offense to you, but not at all. I was so salty, but it was great. It was great to like experience that and actually fight against these good players. And I'm like, oh, this is how the game's supposed to be played. But yeah, very, very well known. Of course, they were the winners of the very first tournament in the series, the Pilot Showdown. Of course, that was with them too, with 4 other different players. But this time around with their ridiculous all-star team, it's just great to see Legacy and Carl Sagan back. Of course, we keep hearing that Carl Sagan clip. And these two are just, they're so legendary. And I'm glad that they are continuing to be legendary.
I mean, of course, you know, his name is basically written in the stars, right, with a name like Carl Sagan. So you will not ever forget the name, and definitely not here in Gundam Evolution. I'm glad to see, you know, we're still seeing like the evolving gameplay of him, right? I mean, we got to see, of course, a lot of Zaku 2 Melee, but we're seeing why he is just such a strong player overall, regardless of the unit that you put him on.
Yeah, we actually saw, I think Carl Sagan was on Ashimar on this previous map, at the very minimum on defense. It's a little bit hard to see all the switches that go on, but we have seen, I think, like 4 at least suits from Carl Sagan over the course of this tournament alone, which is very, very impressive. And a lot of them that don't play super similar. We've, of course, seen, well, you know, going back to seeing a Zaku 2 Melee player now being almost primarily like sniper players, playing the turn A and the GM sniper on the, like, for the Harbor match that we saw yesterday, and then seeing now, you know, like the Ashimar. It's just like, this is clearly a player that can kind of do whatever they want. And that's super important on a team that needs to be flexible, and clearly it is paying off. But I'm excited to see how this matchup changes, especially with the team comps, right? We could see a lot more close range team comps, and we are actually going to see potentially the RX-78, which is I don't think we saw in the last map.
I believe no. Bork Gundam were playing the RX-78. That's
you're right,
the swap off that I was really asking for, right? They were doing this as well on Mountain RMD, I believe. Where we were talking about the Hyper Hammer can be great as an option up against the Sazabi, but on the other side, yeah, Team Sucky Vacuums are going to stick with old standard, but they do have actually turn A coming in favor of the Ashimar instead, and Legacy gets burned down, so the Hyper Hammer, immediate value for him, as Tism will also go down to that Exia.
Oh, everybody's going down. Almost everybody on both teams now. I think there's only about 3 people left up in the match at this point. That was one of the closest trades, but it does seem like, I believe it was Bork Gundam that had more people up at the end of this. No, wait. Yes, yeah. It is Team Bork Gundam that is up at the end of this. They got a few people on point, but this is going to really come down to what kind of happens in the second fight.
They've already established themselves here on the high ground. They need a little bit of help with that Hyper Hammer up top, but they end up losing out on the Mephis in the back, falling backwards. 1 HP, he will fall, but just before he does end up getting that res, it's going to be a re-knock onto him, and now the point is still getting fought over. We got 30 more seconds remaining here, it seems. Here's the res out onto Nox, and so with all that done, Team Sucky Vacuums will get right back onto the point, and it does flip, and so they'll get fairly close to it, only about a 9% difference before this one goes on over to C. And you can see now they're going to retake hype for themselves and get ready for that transition over to C while picking up some more kills.
Oh, that's great. And the fact that it's a stagger too, they took out about half the team. And so, for example, right here, if they get this pick, there's just nobody to back that player up. And of course, we've talked about it a million times before. I'll say it again. If you're winning at A, you're winning at C immediately. It takes literally 2 seconds to get over, and immediately destroying the RX-78 G maneuver. There is no chance of throwing that out into the open without it getting destroyed.
Yeah, that super napalm just finds itself so vulnerable, but the Ashmar punch right into the back line. Lexi stays alive. Nox ends up falling here as Voice ends up picking that one up, but they have ended up losing out on that high ground, and that push after the opening from that Ashmar punch is absolutely huge now, and they are scrambling to get onto the point. It's going to be Bork Gundam actually starting things off, and the Trans Am gets popped a little bit early here, but the overhead throw, and he gets shut down.
Oh, what a high value overhead throw. That's the perfect way you want to see it. And then Bitey's going to go down as well. That is going to be such a turnaround to completely waste that Trans Am. Great reactions. And Bork Gundam, of course, is going to take control of the point after that amazing exchange. They are going to be controlling that high ground, as you can see right there. Having the Dom on the high ground in particular is huge, because shooting down to the bottom of these ramps is exactly the range and the AoE size that Dom loves.
Unfortunately here for Bork, they ended up actually burning a few unnecessary, I would say, G maneuvers, and one crucial one is going to be that Screaming Nimbus. They don't have the Ashmar Punch available to them, and so they don't really have an engage here, but it's just going to be a dry fight ultimately, as the Screaming Nimbus does get popped from the Team Sucky Vacuum side. They have taken the lead in this round so far, as we will be going back on over to point A.
Yeah, we do see, it looks like on the UI, 5 different G maneuvers available here for Team Sucky Vacuums. That is pretty impressive, but we don't necessarily need to see all of them used, right? I'm sure they could win a fight with all of them used, but let's see how they can effectively save as many as possible.
Yeah, again, they have these G maneuvers that just single-handedly can win the fights. If they find an opening, oh no, Tism ends up going down, and he is one of the best players when it comes to clearing out that Super Napalm. Unfortunately for that Bork side, you don't get any value off of it. Carl Sagan comes in, though, with that butterfly, and we'll be able to clear out the rest of the squad, and that's what we were talking about, just trying to hold on to just a few G maneuvers here and there. Nox ends up finding one more as Exponent will fall. The point gets flipped once again, but this has been a war of attrition. No one has had a clear win on either A or C, and we're going back to C once more.
This is easily the most back and forth that we've seen on this map, I think, so far. And yeah, they're just both so good at clearing out the point, saving their G maneuvers. Team Sucky Vacuum still saving nearly every G maneuver that they have, which is a very, very smart choice. Of course, once they get to this final point, that could be the win or lose deciding factor. And right now, this super aggressive hold, which we've seen quite often on this map, is working really well. They're definitely going to hold A towards essentially the end. It's going to move back over to C again. No B spawns at all, which is for some reason something that happens a decent amount on this map, but this has to be the big G maneuver moment once this unlocks in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, Exponent, we'll see. Last time he went head first into a turn A. This time around, he just gets into the back line, creates so much havoc, and is able to back away just in time. That's a 1-for-1 exchange, though. The Gundam has gone down, but that's for that Pale Rider. 33 HP. This time, Exponent will fall, out popping that Trans Am. He will be able to come back into this fight with it. Again, Team Sucky Vacuums have been fairly disciplined with their G maneuver usage overall. That Pale Rider forced to that low ground does have the heal of the Methus along with that heal pot, but it's not enough. The Hades is going to come in. Tism finds one before he gets shut down by that RX-78. Now we're at 92, 93%. Someone has to get onto the point.
Yeah, and we still have the funnels available. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The funnels just barely used right as I said that. My bad. We're about to have Screaming Nimbus available, which is, of course, one of the best defensive options. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Which decides that's going to be available on the offensive side, so we need to see that to take this point.
Now, getting back on, they have to flip this one on over, send it on into extra time, and then hold out basically until 100%. He's got the fancy feet on there, actually dodging out on a lot of damage, but it looks like they will be able to flip it for now. They've got the Super Napalm along with the energy cable here for that Pale Rider if they want to try and pop it onto him. He's at 51% towards his ultimate. Maybe actually go to actually use it on to the Ashmar to get the extra damage to have that punch. It doesn't matter though. Keiki finds one on that respawn. You can see the Exia in the backline. Exponent does go down, but he's buying time for his team. It was a 2-for-1 exchange. The Pale Rider overextended and he goes down.
Yeah, this is not going to be a full team versus team fight, but it has to happen very, very soon. I don't even know if Team Sucky Vacuums has enough time to wait for the full respawns before they push this point. It doesn't look like they're going to attempt it. We're going to see just everything being popped, every single thing here. There is no more time. The res barely even had time to get off. It's going to be going back to Team Sucky Vacuums, I believe, and this is going to be a 99 and 99%, almost undoubtedly.
Nox and Carl Sagan have fallen, and Tism has gone down, and Bork are starting to walk away with this one. Last little bit of extra time ticks down, and Bork will go ahead and take round number 1.
Wow, it was again down to 99.9 to 99.9%. We've seen that one more time on this map. That was last month in Halloween Havoc, and I believe it was in Onizaki versus Powerpuff Girls, but that was such a back and forth, and it wasn't even a back and forth of like, we're taking this entire point, you're taking this entire point, we're taking this entire point. It was like they were fighting back and forth for every single point. This is what I'm more expected from these two teams. I still think, looking back, that we may have just had a map unfamiliarity issue going into that Ministry of Defense, which is understandable. But this time, this is the match that I'm trying to see. That is a sick one.
No, I completely agree, because again, it was already a surprise for us to see that map actually slip through the ban phase and then get first picked by our first seed team and Team Sucky Vacuums. And so I think Bork, we're definitely caught off guard by that Ministry of Defense. And we know that, like, again, if you're not as experienced as with the map depth, right, that, yeah, Ministry of Defense is just something that can completely get away from you. But here we go. We didn't see B at all, and we're going to be starting off with B in round number 2. And this one plays out a little bit different. Ashmar doesn't get the same kind of setup when you're trying to fight over the high ground, but it looks like it's going to be Team Sucky Vacuum starting it off with the first knock. There's a res from Alternate, but Bitey ends up going down throughout all of that one. Overall, it seems like it's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums with the man advantage until that res comes through onto Listic.
This is how every single fight has gone, though. It's just been downs on both sides. Like, there's just no single big, easy win team fight. This is just a complete trade over and over. As you can see, they're about 4-4 on the point right here, maybe even 3-3. And we're going to see a little bit of retreat, trying to get back into that choke point. But unfortunately, once you do retreat into that choke point, it's very hard to find an easy way back in. Using verticality through the center is a really good option. But here we go. Oh, so many fish in a barrel here for the Exia, but not going to be able to finish any of them off.
Yeah, he does end up going down. That's going to be 2 actually going down on the side of Team Bork. But again, they just need to play delay here on point B. They don't need to full commit onto team fights. They can just slowly bleed out units. Instead, they end up giving it up. And now it's going to go back on over towards Team Sucky Vacuums, who are about to tie things up 17-17. Fairly shortly here, we're going to be going over to point C. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky for the team that does maintain control over point B. How exactly do you make this transition? You want to back away towards spawn side, and it looks like that's what they will do, and now make their way on over to that C point.
Yeah, I feel like that makes a lot of sense, but we already have such strong positioning here, just holding that high ground, and whoever rotates first, none of this is worth it to lose more points, but wow, that energy cable is going to go to waste immediately. Such a good focus. That Ashmar is in a very scary position. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get out of there unscathed.
Oh, the Exia gets into the back line, finds 2, and now Bork are fighting back into things, as Carl Sagan does end up getting the res onto Tism, so there might be an opportunity for them to now try and fight over the high ground. You can see the pings going down. Alternate has fallen. That turn A Gundam coming out from Carl Sagan, finding a lot of value. I have to imagine that he's close to that butterfly for himself as the point unlocks. And we'll go ahead and take it for now. That's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums with a clear lead, but they fight off the point and they actually flip it back on over. The turn A butterfly does come in because they did not like losing that point.
Yeah, again, like I said, they're just flipping back and forth, even on single points. But you can see here, we've got Team Sucky Vacuum holding just such a strong high ground position once again. This is going to go back to B after this. They have to worry about it, but still about 30 seconds left, so we'll talk about that later. Of course, instantly, that RX-78 G maneuver going down, and this is going to be a full 5v5 fight for that high ground. Interestingly enough, Team Sucky Vacuum's jumping down and giving up that positioning.
Again, this is just one of those spots where you don't have to completely just fight over it and have a full team wipe. You can just slowly bleed out. You can just slowly bleed out, and it's going to become a war of attrition. But someone actually gets off the point, and so it does go over to Bork, but it's only a few ticks that they'll end up getting. It's 66-27, essentially, after all of this. And now it's Team Sucky Vacuums with a clear lead and already in position for point B. D has gone down. They're finding the staggers on the Team Sucky Vacuum side as the Exia tries to find an opening, but he has to back away. Their team ends up losing out on one more.
Yeah, just trying to get a few more hits in, maybe build up some of that G maneuver meter, but it is going to be at full now. Barely escapes, which is the Exia classic, and so we might see this Trans Am go actually immediately right there. Thank you for listening to me. Let's see how many we can pick off with this. This is still a really scary spot, but they're all entering from different angles. That's why this can be so strong at this point. That's 2 down at the very minimum, but finally focused out.
The boys show up and slide in as a 3-man there to finish him off. But it was a great defensive hold coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums, of course, starting it all off with that Screaming Nimbus and then following it up with that Hades. Just such a potent combo. Create space for your Hades, who's already doing massive amounts of damage. We'll go ahead and pop on that Hades, do even more. And now we're at 85%. You can see the drop down, but it's instantly thwarted, biting the first one to fall. But once again, somehow Exponent is always finding these picks, and now the man advantage coming out from Bork. But they have to play for overtime. They have to play for C. And we're going to have that transition once more, and all Team Sucky Vacuums needs is about 5% to send this over to round number 3.
Well, just taking it for that much time was huge, actually, for Bork, because that means that they cannot win on that B position, and it seems like B has been pretty well controlled by Team Sucky Vacuums. I know that Bork wants to get back to the C points, and they do have this one final opportunity. That is going to be an Exia going down. This team has been so good at targeting Exponent in particular, just like not allowing that Exia to sneak out a single time. The turn A G maneuver is going to be huge, and it's going to fly so far above everybody's heads. It's going to be so hard to target, and that is going to be a really great position for the opening of this point C, and they only need 1.3% more. Will they get it immediately?
And I don't think they have any G maneuvers on the defensive side. Legacy ends up cleaning up Exponent once again, and the Super Napalm was there, but it was just way too late. Team Sucky Vacuums doing a great job here, and really, when it came down to our A and C fights, it looked 50-50 in both of our rounds, right? Going either way. But once it came down to that B site, it seemed like Team Sucky Vacuums did have a better grasp of how to play that one out.
Yeah, I think too it may be a little bit of a team comp thing. I do see Sazabis do quite well on that point, and we do see we saw in, like, for example, some of the team fights, like, you know, when we did have that funny moment where like 2 suits slid in at the end and took out the Exia, that we saw like Legacy was one of the ones there, and he'd already helped in taking out pretty much the rest of the suits on the team of Bork's side. So I think just it's very hard to get around a big shield unit in such a small space unless you're particularly targeting it. And as we saw, you know, the Exia with the great options with the melee was definitely targeting some other things. So it might be a team comp thing. Turn A as well, of course, can get a ton of collateral damage within those tiny little hallways. It's a very, very common thing with only a few little openings. So we'll see what happens immediately, because we're starting off here on point B, and it's match point for Team Sucky Vacuums.
Marseille pickup as well. So this is going to be interesting now as they try to charge on in forward, get that initial pick, but you can see either side actually joining in from different corners here. Exia going in, but he's only got 61 HP. Mighty and Exponent down. So a good defensive hold coming out now from Team Sucky Vacuums. Point's going to unlock in 10 more seconds. They're winning out this fight handedly, finally losing their first unit, but it's just Listic going down, and they should be able to get him back up. That's almost a full team wipe, and they only lose out on one.
Yeah, this is just immediately looking so strong. It has been really hard to kind of fight this this coordinated team push here, and of course this ridiculous Pale Rider tracking, which will always impress me. Impressed me last month, impressed me this month as well. And you can see immediately just all the headshots in the world. You can't even take the high ground against this Pale Rider. It is always this Pale Rider's turn.
Yeah, and he's able to just funnel them in, right? Glitch will go down, though. Marseille might have been able to find that hook on in. Exponent trying to find his way into the backline. It was a double flank coming out from the Marseille along with that Exia. Now, as they try to get onto the point, Bork will get thwarted. They just actually step off the point for just a split second there and ended up not flipping it. So it's going to be almost full value for Team Sucky Vacuums here on B. What was a little bit more of a split here on B is going all the way now for Team Sucky Vacuums as we swap on over to point A.
Yeah, it's looking to be the exact same thing that we said before. B is just really Team Sucky Vacuum's spot. So again, Bork Gundam needs to just take control of this A side. They need to get there preemptively somewhat if they can. Of course, it's a little bit too late for that now. But they need to just take control and just run with it here and hope that we just get A to C spawns for a while, because that B spot's not working out for them. But right now, they got to fight through this super offensive hold.
Yeah, but importantly here for Team Sucky Vacuums is that they basically find 3 staggers. Carl Sagan does end up going down, but it's a 2-for-1 exchange for him, and his 5-man team is still up here on the high ground, maintaining that glitch, ends up getting hooked in and taken out. And so now things are looking a little bit dire. Exponent has popped that Trans Am, but he hasn't been able to go in quite yet. And he still has to worry about the threat of that turn A Gundam. As the point unlocks, it is going to be Team Sucky Vacuums that do have position over it. Moist ends up finding one. Carl Sagan has gone down. The Hades has been popped by Tism, but he doesn't find enough quite yet. Staggering through just a little bit, and now they're finding it a little bit difficult to finish off this fight, but they ultimately will. Now It looks like things might actually turn in their favor, as this time around, it's not going to go back over to B. It's actually going over to C.
Yeah, this is the one big chance for Bork to stay in this. They are going to have such good positioning here. They're holding the high ground. They're holding a little bit closer here with the Exia, which is going to be, like I said, such a good option. Wow, great mobility, honestly, from Legacy right there to not get hit by the melee attack. Just hearing maybe the charge, using that audio cue, it's very, very smart to stand at that corner like that. But we'll see if that can help them push and retake this spot, as he's moving to C immediately.
Woohoo! He dodges out on that overhead throw, but Nox is right behind to finish him off. It's still a war of attrition here as Carl Sagan does get brought back into this one. So now they lose a little bit of presence here on the high ground. Point swapping on over to C. It's 63 to 28%. And now they need to make sure on this cross that they're able to spam them out. And you can see that they do have that Dom up there just to spam them out and create a lot of space, buy enough time for the full team to regroup here on the high ground. We do have the turn A Gundam, but here's the Screaming Nimbus to buy some time, buy some space as this team goes ahead and backs off. Carl Sagan has been finished off, but D ends up giving his life for it. They've got the Hades behind this for Keiki, and now it looks like in these outer fights, it is going to be Bork that comes out ahead.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of their damage. They've only got a few suits left. Well, I'm sorry, on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums, they only got a few suits left to try and push this. So we are going to see probably a regroup, which is the smartest choice right here. But this is, I mean, I was saying it, this is exactly what needs to happen. They need to find a way to retake, especially this high ground. We haven't seen any pushes from the other side while somebody's holding either A or C, which is something that we've seen a lot in the other maps. But right now, it's not happening. We're seeing, a great pick, though, on the exit once again. Exponent has just been targeted down so efficiently over the rest of this map, and now the high ground going to Team Sucky Vacuums. We'll see if that works, as we can see so many people going down to that turn A.
Yeah, it is going to be swapping on over to A, by the way. So we're going to stay outside, and that actually might be the finish of this game. I believe, yeah, it's going to be the last point to fight over. You can see the value once again being placed onto this high ground, making sure that Tism can succeed on this Pale Rider from here. But Exponent has been doing such a great job of just being a constant nuisance and a threat. You can see now he gets into the back, actually misses out on his stun, and that's a charge forward from the other side as he needs to back away. 119 HP. He gets chased down into spawn, and now things are looking pretty bad, but actually looks like the point unlocks. It's going to be A to finish things off here.
Yeah, we are going to see Team Sucky Vacuum holding this initially. Things, once again, are looking so close to each other. This is going to be essentially the final push. They need to make it happen here. They're pushing directly up the ramp towards the high ground, and immediately we're going to see 2 players on the side of Bork go down, 3 players go down. Tism gets traded, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Keki goes down as well, and I think that's probably going to be it. Only 1 player left up on the side of Bork, and there's 5% left. If they can get on point, maybe they can get one more push, but this is going to be tough.
Yeah, someone needs to touch right now. 99% overtime ticking away, and someone does touch. That means they're staggering in. Moist, Exponent, Bitey, Alternate, all down. And you can see the rallying cry at the end around that turn A, around Carl Sagan. It's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums. It was a close one here in our second map, but it's still the 2-0 for them to move on to the grand finals.
Yeah, that was, again, though, that was the match that I wanted to see between these two. For sure, these teams are very, very close in skill, and I'm really excited to see what happens if potentially they do match up against each other again in the grand finals, which is very, very possible, assuming one of the two can overtake Powerpuff Girls. But that was a very clear, story, right, of that map. We talked about it. Most of the map, B was 100% going to Team Sucky Vacuums. Clearly, as a team, Bork needs to kind of figure out a strategy more for that point. Just whatever they're doing isn't particularly working against Team Sucky Vacuums, whether it's a team comp thing, whether it's a targeting thing. We saw a lot of EXO going around and making these dives, and there wasn't like a coordinated push alongside it. So I'm not sure if they need to push, or there needs to be less of an offensive strategy, or what. It's just something, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough at this game, obviously, to find out the answer, but for whatever it was, it just wasn't their site. And the other sites, they were doing great at. They almost made the entire comeback just because it went from A to C to A. So whatever they're doing on those sites, perfect. You can improve upon them, obviously, but you don't need to worry about them. Whatever they can do on B, they have some time to think about it, right? They've got another set. They're still in the losers bracket, and if they do end up on this map again, they got another chance to try it. But Team Sucky Vacuums, with their all-star squad, unsurprisingly, will be our team in the grand finals on the top side.
And for me, well, I mean, watching that map over again, it just kind of came down to just a few small mistakes. I'm not trying to harp on Exponent. I think Exponent was doing a great job. But, you know, he was just missing a few stuns here or there that would have been crucial, would have been the difference makers when it came to this. And they would have sent it over to a map 3 if he just landed one more stun with that Exia, I feel like, you know. But he was doing an amazing job throughout that entire map, I would say, creating so much space for his squad. The difference was ultimately in the end that Team Sucky Vacuums did have very good discipline when it came around their G maneuver usage. They also had just a lot more impactful ones, particularly Carl Sagan on that Churn A Gundam was able to find a lot of value across all the rounds. Basically, when it came to that G maneuver, we did see the Ashmar getting a little bit of value, but I feel like, you know, at this point, like maybe the Ashmar might not be the pick for them, or that Marseille also didn't get as much value. So I don't know. There are a lot of different ways that Team Bork could have approached it. Still, though, I think it was a great match between the two squads.
It was. One last thing I got to point out is that I really think too, though, that a lot of those stunts were missed because not necessarily because of like a lack of like aiming the correct area, but because Team I almost called them Team Legacy, Team Sucky Vacuums, including Legacy, they showed that they were extremely aware of playing defensively against Exia. There were two really clear moments to me. One was it was either point A or point C. They're so similar. Kind of like going into that very first choke point from the spawn, we saw Legacy pop out and then immediately dash back and dodge preemptively, basically, an entire Exia dash attack. And also, there was a point where they were holding, it was Tism in particular was holding a like really far forward hold on B, kind of near the upper ramp, and knew that the Exia was up at the top of the ramp and popped out and shot and then immediately dashed back and then dodged an entire dash attack again as well. So I think that the entirety of Team Sucky Vacuums is just so ready to fight these Exias. And if you don't have players that are obviously, you know, there's ways to punish that, like you wait for them to dash, you dash forward and you hit them instead, but you have to be ready for that level of counterplay to, you know, upgrade to the next level of counterplay. So it's great to see that super amazing play from Team Sucky Vacuums, and they definitely earned their spot there. But it's still all up in the air because we do have, of course, losers finals coming up next, but that is going to be after a short break. So we will be having Team Bork going up against Team Powerpuff Girls. You're not going to want to miss that, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
They have to fall back. The Exia uses Trans Am on the offensive side, but unfortunately he will fall to Nico, in which popped his own Trans Am, gets two, and now the offensive side with 25 seconds left, it's looking pretty scary for them on Harbor.
You have to put yourself into potentially being sniped out when you go for the repairs. You can see them start to just try and move forward. Mech to the ultimate. The Dreams comes in with the crash, and it's absolutely wrecking his opponents.
The defense side, but Calvin trades back X-Ray once more. On the other side, Red has got X-Ray again. He's killed them 3 times, but the Resurrect has been there every single time. And now the Barbados is in on his face. Illusion goes down to Dreams, and the offense is thwarted here. Kyler gets the Resurrect onto Glitch as well.
It's the mix, and there's no ultimate on the side of Bork. They're done for.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, they have to run down. Oh my god, this Pale Rider ultimate on the other side. He's just shredding everybody on the defense, or on the offense rather. 1 second left, extra overtime goes down. Alrenet comes through onto X-Ray. The time is ticking down. It's just him on this point. It doesn't look like he's going to do anything here.
Hit those melees.
Yeah, he's going to have to go hard right now, but Cocky got 2. X-Ray with a huge rocket with the 2K, and they can actually get the capture point off of this as well, as they just need to hit a couple more shots to get a full team wipe. The X is back, gets the stun, but it's just going to... This has used his boost, what I'd assume to be is the Zaku ranged, and it's just Glitch on this point with that ultimate, but no! Dream with a huge ultimate stops the Sazabi in its tracks, and nobody else at Bork Gundam can actually delay this point. They
Hacking team to be able to get on top of them sooner.
Sniper vs Sniper in the main of the objective here. Payan does get Stolly. Carl Sagan gets Kyler, but the headshot comes through into Legacy. Nice shots from Dream. Does take him down, but the 8 point is now under contest, and Dream hits those shots. Once more, he gets slick. So that's 2 down, but is that enough to really hold this point? Has to jump pad over the top side.
Does go down to the methods of Coop. As we can see, Dreams on that Ashmore just trying to go in super deep to be able to buy themselves the space to go for that plan on towards B. They've been able to get it, but it is going to be Nico with the G maneuver. The Hades coming through from the Pale Rider. Brute force through this bundle choke. They're going to have nothing for when the faster respawns come through from the defense, so it can't be a full ult dump, and it's going to be so much committed.
It's Carl Sagan again. 3K before he goes down, traded out in the back line, but what a huge ultimate from the Zaku to melee of Team Vacuum's team.
Get stunned through, and it is now going to be just absolute.
Carl Sagan! Carl Sagan! Oh
Carl
my
Sagan
God!
coming in with the absolute clutch Zaku to melee G maneuver.
Welcome back to Gundam's Grace, presented by the Gundam Evolution Newtype League. It is time for our top three to go down to our top two. Once again, I am Evan Chef Hashimoto, joined by James Jamerson Lee, and it's time to send one of these teams home, despite the fact that they fought so hard to get here.
Yeah, and this is going to be tough. I mean, Bork versus Powerpuff Girls is going to be our first outing with these two squads together in the best of three in the lower bracket. And Powerpuff Girls, again, it seems like tournament after tournament, they're getting better and better. Like you mentioned, they bowed out in fourth place last round or last time, but this time here we go in the top three, and they always get better. And so I'm really excited to see what this matchup has in store for us.
Yeah, I love the like the solid consistency of that team, and of course they brought some new things as far as potentially new suits this time around. So I am excited to see how that goes. Of course, it all depends on the map picks and bans, which have been pretty wild so far, right? The fact that we did see, of course, in the very last set, the Ministry of Defense is the starting map, not an expected thing, but we may get some surprises coming into the end of this. You know, once these teams maybe they have a little trick up their sleeve, like they're like, oh yeah, I've practiced Quarry really heavily, so we're just gonna go to that first off, or something like that. But we have seen, yeah, like you said, both of these teams lose actually now to Team Sucky Vacuums. This is going to be two teams that are fighting for their run back in the grand finals, and both of them now getting 2-0'd. Of course, both teams stood a very good chance, and I think they both stand a very good chance of being able to rematch them and win that rematch in the grand finals. But they definitely want it. You know, you always, every single time you get knocked to loser bracket, you want to fight whoever knocked you there.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and check out the map bans and picks for this match. Remember, it is a best of 3, so we go through a ban from either side and then a pick from either side. Like we mentioned last round, we were completely thrown off guard, seeing, Ministry of Defense being one of the first pickups, one of the first picks. It's very rarely is it a first map pick. But going into this one, it does seem like it's actually going to remain to be kind of standard, where it is the first map ban.
Yeah, it looks like we're still working on the picks and bans currently, but yeah, it's not only is it usually not the first map pick, it's usually not picked at all, or usually not even not banned. But yeah, hearing that this is the first ban, super not surprising to me. That makes a whole lot of sense, especially after seeing what happened on the previous set. You know, you see that kind of shutout even against an amazing team like Bork, and you're like, you know what? Maybe we don't take this chance again. You know, maybe we don't take the chance that something weird like this comes up. I would expect, especially between these two and the fact that they're both kind of like fighting back for that final spot, I would expect a little bit more safer picks. We have seen a few of these teams go to Harbor actually pretty early on, which is an interesting choice. But we've seen this also today a lot, or today and yesterday, a lot of really strong turn A users. We've seen some really good GM sniper users. So perhaps some of these teams are a little bit more comfortable playing on that longer range, especially we've definitely seen it from, in particular, the Powerpuff Girls, and they've done very well on that map now a few times.
Yeah, and on the other side for Team Bork, I mean, that does mean that they are basically running Suzabi list. I don't think they've picked it up once whatsoever. They have their options to try and counter it, right? Starting off with the RX-78-2, really utilizing that hyper hammer we saw there when we were on Mountain R&D, getting that initial pick onto Legacy. I mean, I think he might have been caught off guard because it does have a little bit of an arc to it, right? And so when you're fighting over the high ground over on A and C, you can kind of toss that one on over, lob it over out of LOS, and then hit him with it. And we saw Legacy get absolutely melted off the back of that. And so we'll see if they maintain the Suzabi list compositions. That turn A was an option for them. Marasai was an option for them as well. But here are our bans. So Ministry of Defense and Mountain R&D have been taken out, leaving Quarry open, and that is the first map that we're going to.
Yeah, you know, I was making that joke about somebody first picking Quarry as it's their like secret weapon, but you know, apparently maybe it happened. And it is pretty interesting that we are seeing both the maps that we saw in the last set banned immediately, so we are guaranteed a 100% different set as far as maps. But going to Quarry immediately does mean I think that they're going for a little bit more of like a safer approach. They're not going to either go to the more chaotic domination maps right off the bat, and in fact, they're not going to be going to it at all. Another map that we've only seen, I think, one time so far in this particular broadcast over this weekend is Underground Command Center, and that's going to be their second choice. So we are going to go now to a double demolition set.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising. Now, that does mean, of course, Ministry of Defense is out, so no more domination, or excuse me, destruction after this one. So that's going to leave Flak 4, Thermal Plant, and Harbor City available as that third map if we end up going to it. Here in the lower bracket, already getting sent to map number 3 once. And so we do have to keep an eye on that. But right now, I think Quarry, again, we got to see some great stuff yesterday out of Team IQ, and I think that actually bodes well when it comes to Bork, because they are running that turn A Gundam. So when their offense comes down, that point A or point B, and honestly, either Mega Charge plant site will be good for them, but I see them kind of favoring that A side.
Yeah, well, we've also seen PPG run turn A when they want to. They've been switching, sometimes on it, sometimes off of it. So this could be another one of those times where they see what happened, especially on the offensive side. They can say like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a good suit for this map. So I mean, hey, we said at the start of the broadcast, this is really the story of this weekend, is that we're seeing so many turn A's, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did see that again. But the flexibility of both these teams, I think, is going to be good. Probably going to see, like you said, the Suzabi list, which has changed some of the matchups, but this is a weird one, right? Quarry, you talked about this yesterday. You have the ability to plant on A and control it with these really long angles, or the ability to plant on B and control it with really short angles, and they are not super right next to each other. You do have to kind of go up through some like verticality to get from one to the other. So this is one of the most flexible maps for sure, just based on your play style, and we are going to immediately be able to see some of the defensive suit picks here. We are going to see the turn A.
And we talked about the difference of how this one plays out as opposed to what we saw in Ministry of Defense, is that there is going to be a lot more presence. Of course, fighting over that first waypoint is not something that you always have to do when it comes to Ministry of Defense, either as the defense or the offense. But this is definitely where you want to first hold. You don't want to just give this one up for free, because the long back is so long regardless. Now, as it is going to be Powerpuff Girls starting off on the defensive side. And they do have that turn A ready. So no Suzabi, looks like, in this matchup so far.
Yeah, and they're going to actually bring the Unicorn Gundam, which is a strategy that we saw Bozos use to win the last tournament on this map a lot. But wow, what a quick rush already. I feel like that door just opened and immediately they're already here at these choke points. I don't know if this res is going to be able to safely get off. It does not look like it's going to, at least wasn't punished fully, but we are going to see immediately 2 people from Bork go down. Still a pretty offensive push, all things considered.
Yeah, they're just trying to find any kind of bleed if they can. They know it's going to be a full wipe, so going down like that, it's fine. They're not staggering in this fight. It only took about 30 or 40 seconds there ultimately in the end. So I like trying to go for that cheeky peek. Right now, you can see the defense have basically reestablished themselves. No one is fighting for that high ground. You don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to just an errant Exia dash coming on in, getting that stun, and then getting one shot and then being unrecoverable by your team. So I like how they're playing this one out right now. 260 HP, but he's able to back away as that armor coming in from the heels of that Unicorn, but 2 pickoffs coming in from Team Bork.
Yeah, this was a much better push for them altogether. Right now, we're going to see the 1v1 of the Exia taking on this Pale Rider, and this is a really awkward spot to 1v1. Okay, not going to be that anymore. We do see the Pale Rider just kind of back up. Really nice float over to that middle platform to try and avoid being outnumbered here, but it does look like this is a pretty significant push onto A. We could see a little switch over to B, but with so many long-range suits here, I mean, now the Exia is going down. Actually, this is just weird. They're just fighting in the middle rather than planting.
Yeah, unfortunate. Alternate ends up actually taking himself out. It looked like maybe he was dash firing, getting behind cover at the same time, and ends up hitting a wall and taking himself out with Splash. So they already started off this fight with a man down, and now there might be an opening here, possibly to try and charge forward and fight over the choke points right outside of the waypoints. But they're going to go ahead and give them some space and back away and regroup now over here at point B, which they end up getting that first knock. Exponent ends up going down, and they're going to try and charge forward for a little bit more. He doesn't have, never mind, the mid-air connect on the Bitey. Very nice play coming out here from Casino.
Yeah, this is a full team kill. That was incredible. But, once again, oh, wow, they just immediately spawned, of course, on this waypoint, but this will be recaptured. It's technically a second team kill if you just count one single person. But we do know that that's the background of Casino, right? A lot of these arena shooters where you do have to catch a lot of people flying around, essentially, which is that high level of mobility, by hitting some projectile rocket shots. So that's definitely coming into play here, sniping flyers out of the air, and that's why we love watching that Casino Dom so much. But what a great retake on the waypoint. That doesn't usually happen on this map, and they're really taking advantage of it.
Ooh, Ashmar Punch being utilized here just to create an opening and try and retake the waypoint, by the way. This is not where you want to be spending your G maneuvers. You want to try and get the Mega Charge down first, but instead they are expending so much utility into these into just capturing the waypoint. They haven't even done that yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is really tough. There's only about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Well, 1 minute and 45 seconds. Apparently, I can't count. But this is not an easy site to push. I mentioned this before, but it takes a while to get to the points, even once you've taken the waypoint. And that can mean that even if it looks like you have a little bit more time than usual, like 145, 130 is not, I mean, that's a ton of time on some maps, but on this map, not a lot. However, we're going to see maybe the sneak from the Axia. No, what a great shot from that Ashmar.
He tried to commit. He was so close to it. Focus was able to turn around just in time to deny that one. Alternate playing around this LOS. Bitey is low. Does he have his armor gun to get him back on up? Oh, we'll see. Trans Am is available this time around on the push. We'll see if he can find any value off of it. Finds one isolated by himself. It's going to be the Ashmar player, but Ashmars are still extremely good when it comes to the 1v1 duels. You can see all the way in the back line is that turn A charging up his shots. Now they have built a little space for themselves, but again, when he tries to go for that plant, Exponent gets shut down. They do get it on that A site though, but it's 55 seconds now. They are losing bodies. Bitey has gone down, and this is such a long run back.
It is, even on offense. Now, we'll see if they are controlling any of these long angles. I don't know exactly who they have in which positions, but it looks like there hasn't been a disarm yet. So I'm assuming, yeah, there's some players probably sitting over closer to their spawn, a little bit further range. Was that a Zakutu ranged that I just saw?
Yeah, there was a Zakutu range swap off about 1.5 minutes ago. So it's been in usage, but this is all that matters. Kaiser now with that butterfly to shut things down. 20 seconds left to go ahead and try to get that disarm, but that's a nice pick off at the end there. And so they do end up securing that, it looks like, with the disarm, and now they're scrambling to try to get back onto the point for the plant, but they will not be able to make it. Beautiful hold coming out from the Powerpuff girls, and we have to remember that I believe this map pick was actually Team Bork's.
Wow, yeah, this is a really solid play then on kind of the opposite side of whoever picked the map here. Powerpuff Girls, of course, just playing so well on that defense. That's not really usually how you see a win on defense there. Usually we tend to see like, okay, either you hold really, really well at that first point, and then eventually you kind of give up the, you either give it up and then you go to the second point and sometimes they can't make it there, or a really dominant hold at the waypoint. But this time there was like a few retakes, there's a little bit of give and take here, but it was a lot of bending and not breaking from the side of Powerpuff Girls, and in the end that caused them to essentially flawless this. There's very little time on this map on the bomb that had been planted. It's about 75%, I think, and so all they need to do is just almost take the first point, get one really solid first good push, and we'll see if they can. We're going to see I believe the slight change to the lineup back for Bork on the defense. Of course, we're not going to see that Zakutu range anymore, which of course I'd love to see, but we'll see if there's any changes on offense. Looking pretty similar to me again, yeah, even with the Unicorn Gundam.
To be fair, though, for the Powerpuff Girls, I mean, their hold on that waypoint was actually so good that they forced out a G maneuver push. I mean, typically you want to try and take that waypoint by going into fights dry. You don't want to utilize those G maneuvers there. You really want to extend their value off the plant and get that post-plant defense instead with those. But they just never really were able to. And off the few Mega Plant charges that they were Mega charges that they were able to get down, I mean, again, they didn't have the same kind of utility, but now here it is, Bork Gundam on their defensive hold. It's not exactly the same. They do have that RX-78-2, but again, the RX-78-2 worked out for them because, again, they were doing a great job of applying pressure onto Suzabi, but it's a Suzabi-less composition from either side. Exia goes in, is able to find the first knock. There it is, alternate onto focus.
Yeah, oh, very nice. Just barely escaping with his life. And of course, the armor gun, like I said, the ultimate duo in this game. The 2v2 is just armor gun plus Exia. There are some people up kind of on the stairs here. Nobody's really getting hit. It looks like it's going to be that Dom. Probably Nox on the Dom. Or sorry, not Nox. This is the other team. I just said the completely wrong team's name. But we are going to see a pretty solid push through these stairs. And we're going to see a classic strategy of retreating back over into the houses, I guess you could say. The buildings. I don't know what to call them. But the waypoint overall will be taken.
Yeah, and this was, again, just off a dry fight. They didn't have to utilize any kind of G maneuvers. They haven't built one up yet anyhow. The Unicorn is the closest at 57, and they're going straight for that B plant. So I'm getting down there, but they are getting challenged just a little bit. The Mega Charge will go down, and the Thirst is there to finish one off, but it looks like they did end up coming in to try and deny that Mega Charge, and Exponent finds one more. They're charging forward now with that Pale Rider. The Unicorn now still a little bit further off from his G maneuver. The Ashmar punch comes in with the follow-up, and he does end up getting the Thirst, and there it is. Exponent comes in with that charge to finish him off. Now, do they have enough pressure, though, to try and take this waypoint? You can see they cannot overextend for it.
Yeah, it looks like a few people backed up on the side of PPG to make sure that that wasn't going to be a retake, which seems like a pretty smart choice. That definitely was not a push that worked out overall. That oh, the Trans Am very aggressive here, trying to take this waypoint back, and it is going to effectively work. Maybe this could be a flank. I'm not sure how many people are sitting here on B, but what a shot! Mid dash punch, jeez.
Yeah, just headies and headies coming in from both the Pale Rider along with that turn A. Is going to allow them now not just to capture the waypoint, but also maybe get the Mega Charge down. But no, the defense is so good so far. But they end up losing out on 2, unfortunately, and the res comes on in. The Mega Charge has gone down onto point B, and now there's only 38 seconds remaining. They've got the Screaming Nimbus, and this is where you get the value off the G maneuvers. You just delay and delay. You stop them from getting onto the point. The Ashmar punch as well. That's all the CC you can ask for to finish things off. The Super Napalm, but they cannot clear it. It's okay. They lose out Kaiser on that one, but he doesn't even have the Butterfly yet. The two units that you're really looking for is to stay alive is going to be, of course, Casino here on the dump. He does back away, pick up that heal, denies the charge again, the defuse once more, but he does end up going down, and they will get the defuse just in time.
Wow, just barely in time. Very, very well played. And now that was a lot of resources. Fully understandable. I felt like that Screaming Nimbus was going to be enough, especially with the health pack being there, but it was just not quite enough. And this has been a really defensive game so far. A lot of pushes just not worked out. And oh no, it looks like Focus getting caught maybe a little bit out of position. They were not out of position. It's kind of got jump scared by the Exia is really what you want to say. And this Exia has really just been a menace in this particular B side. I almost want to see if an A push could work, but we were going to get the replant on B, and there's not going to be a whole lot of time left. So I have to say this is probably the last big opportunity, unless they manage to sneak another plant on another point right as this one gets disarmed. But so far, this is looking great from Casino as usual. It's going to be 2 or 3 down on the side of Bork Gundam.
Yeah, Kaiser has fallen as well, along with Focus. They'll be able to get the res, but no, actually getting finished off. Batty has fallen. They need to keep him up. They need to get the turn A actually back into this one. He's got the Butterfly just to make sure, and that the length of the Butterfly is so long that you should be able to finish things off, but nobody will be able to get onto the point. There's only Exponent remaining here, and now it's just about getting the bombs down, and that is the Mega Charge finishing things off. So Powerpuff Girls will walk away with map number 1.
That was honestly, though, a really close match. And I feel like I've said this already today because it's true, but that was a really close match and not in the usual close way that we expect to see on that level. Usually, once we see plants, it's particularly in B right there, honestly on A as well, once you get plants on either side based on what your team you have, what your team comp is, we usually see it defended until it explodes. But we saw a lot of plants that were not quite there, not fully exploded, but not even quite to 75%, and even fighting through a bunch of different G maneuvers. There were a lot of disarms, and this was a very, very defensive sided map for just as far as play, not the actual map. We just very rarely see it get held by both sides so closely on that first point. So you can definitely tell that both of these teams have a really smart sense of resource management on defense, and it did get really close, but we might have the team that was in the losers bracket way earlier, got knocked in the losers bracket, I would say about 4 matches ago. They're already in the lead here to potentially make it back up to grand finals.
And like you said, there was some great discipline when it came around to G maneuver usage on the defensive side, but it was the offensive side that was the huge difference maker there. You saw that initial plant coming out from Powerpuff Girls that they were able to hold on to about 4 G maneuvers for that post-plant defense. It was very unfortunate, that their Ashmar player ended up going down, because that is the layer of denial when it comes to the Mega Charge Diffusal. If he hadn't gone down, if they kind of layered the two, right, the Screaming Nimbus along with that Ashmar punch, that should have been over right then and there. But kudos, of course, to PPG for being able to take those fights at that waypoint without having to utilize their G maneuvers. And that really did kind of create the difference between the two teams on this map.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? Is that as soon as PPG got that waypoint, it was theirs for basically forever. There was like one retake, but PPG on defense, they did manage to retake that waypoint a few times. They like stayed solid in their defense. They re-pushed back up together as a team. They made sure that nobody was flanking around the other direction, and I think that earned them just a little bit more time, which was all it took. That was, again, a really, really close match. So I wouldn't be surprised again if we did end up at a game 3. But like we mentioned earlier, the next map in this set is going to be another destruction level. So we're going to see the Underground Command Center, and that is a map that we've only seen once or twice throughout the entirety of this weekend. So I'm pretty excited to see that.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have our vote for the Bloodline MVP. So just go ahead and check out genl_GG on Twitter, where you can go ahead and vote on that right now. It looks like Bitey, Focus, and Carl Sagan, some of our favorite MVPs right now. So go ahead and put in your vote for who you think the MVP should be. I believe the poll will be running for the next 2 hours, so make sure you go ahead and do that. Because again, there have been so many standout players, but we want you guys at home to decide who that is.
All right, well, this is a little bit unfair. Okay, it's a little bit unfair. I see the chat. I see all the Carl Sagan fans in chat. I know y'all are showing up really strong. We appreciate it, of course. I'm sure Carl Sagan appreciates it, but I get a feeling that poll might be a little bit one-sided with the level of not only support but copy pasting in the chat right now. But shout out to all of you. Carl Sagan, of course, is a legend. It's absolutely true. I was getting a little bit on the copy pasting myself, but we're not seeing, of course, Carl Sagan's team right now for good reason, as they're sitting in the grand finals. So we'll get back to a little bit more Carl Sagan after that. And honestly, MVP of this this like entire broadcast for me is hard to say, because I think it was a little bit easier last time around for me. For Halloween Havoc, we saw some more like really strong individual plays, but I'm just loving the play from all the like combined teams so far this time around.
Yeah, and again, it goes to show like why it feels so rewarding to play multiple roles or different roles in this game, right? It's not just like the DPS is the star of the show, the support as well proves to be so valuable. We got to see that out of Casino in this last round. There on Quarry, his Dom play was absolutely stellar. The mid-air snipes onto an Ashmar flying away, and it wasn't like the laser beam, right? It was actually the projectile that you were talking about. So it goes to show having that arena FPS chops really does end up proving invaluable, and which is why I think I did pick up Dom so quickly initially on the beta of this game.
Yeah, it's great to see it. I say it every single broadcast, but I'm so happy that we have so many different like teams and players from different games and subgenres of FPSs and even other just genres in general. It's really cool to see like what different skills everybody has, and it translates really well into this game. Is, you know, there is, for example, suits that you can use well, like if you were really good at projectile shots, for example, like the Dom, or there's if you're just like a person who clicks heads and plays more games more like that. Obviously, you've got the Pale Rider, or you can play the turn A, or you know, it's great to see like the different skills and how they combine with other players from other different genres, and it's just tight to see. But we're seeing a lot, of course, from the final teams that we've got here in the top 3. We've got a whole lot of different subgenres, I guess you could say, represented, and of course Casinos I think is one of the most clear, right? It's a clearer one for one, I think, than a lot of the others.
Yeah, the Dom, again, every time I get like Quake player or anything playing with me in Gundam, I'm like, hey, just try Dom. You're gonna like Dom. You're gonna love Dom. And they always agree. But now as we get into Underground Command Center, it is going to be, I believe, it's Powerpuff Girls starting off on the defense first. Bork decides to attack first, and PPG are going to put a little bit more focus on individual healing this time around because of the nature of how this outside portion, when you're fighting over the waypoint, and you're going to need that individual healing because of how spread out these fights can be.
I see that every single time. I mean, obviously, it's not a rare thing at all to preset your mines on a health pack that's a little bit further forward, but it still makes me laugh every single time. It's like I don't know, like old school Shaco boxes in a jungle bush or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, we're just getting trolled. But it looks like on the offense, we are going to be seeing the Gym Sniper, which is pretty cool to see. We haven't seen that a lot on this map for some reason. I do like it at the start. We've seen Bork go to that a decent amount, being able to just try the sniper and then switch off when they need to.
Yeah, and it's almost double sniper here with the turn A as well, but instantly they were able to focus them off of that high ground. But it's just going to be a back away position for Powerpuff Girls. They want to fight over the waypoint. They don't want to fight over the high ground, but that does leave that Gym Sniper open now to have that additional sight line. But they are doing a great job on the defensive side of just backing away, but ultimately the Ashmar will be able to find that angle, get that knock. Exponent has gone down. They actually might be able to get the res. No, it gets denied at the end. Focus and Baddie down. Now Powerpuff Girls have to fight over the Mega Charge plant. But you can see instantly they are not going to allow them to set up early on, and the pressure is unrelenting as they do finally get the plant down.
Yeah, 2 people actually going for the plant right there just to make sure 100%. But this is a little bit of a run back for the defensive team. So I love the fact that they took that team wipe and then pushed immediately and got that first plant. This is a very tough one to defend if they've got the right angles. And it does seem like there's kind of a lot of the members of PPG all together. They're going to take out Exponent again, being focused down so well.
And they've lost out that high ground, and now they have to play off the choke. Turn A going in. Baddie ends up going down, and that overhead throw gets absolutely nothing here as the Dom goes in for those reses. So they'll have the clear man advantage until Zyros actually goes down on the PPG side, and now they have to fight over this choke once again. You can see, though, Casino trying to put in work. You can try and spam these corners, but that does mean the Dom on the other side has that same kind of advantage. Exponent is here in the back, but he does go down once again. A 1-for-1 exchange, but he's got backup this time around. The Ashmar is here as he does end up getting res. No, they are not going to be able to complete that one. 6 seconds remaining. No one is here for the defuse, and it looks like we're going to the second half of this map.
Yeah, we even saw the punch used, even though it didn't really actually hit anybody, but it didn't need to hit anybody, and that's what's important. And now we'll see. This can be one of the toughest choke points if we can see PPG get into position in time. Oh, getting clipped. We've been using the same skin, and that means they're probably not going to be able to hold this kind of ramp choke point, which we have seen be relatively popular. They're going to have to hold the little bit further back choke point that goes towards the waypoint if they even want to, if they even have enough people here. It does look like they are going to try to at least defend this waypoint. It is an important one. It is a huge distance saver, but we're going to see the dive in from the Exia. We're going to see 2 players go down once again for PPG. And it looks like they might be taking this. Yep, 3 huge dive.
Yeah, they can bleed, they can go ahead and trade because they have the waypoint overall, right? And so when the respawns come on in, 1 HP left, there we go. They finished off Casino, but now he's left down to 200 HP in a 1v2, but he does have the respawns coming in. So this is a huge cleanup. And now Bork Gundam, they do get slowed down just a bit. They were trying to carry the momentum forward. So it was a good defensive hold so far for Powerpuff Girls to at least stabilize for themselves, then try and have a chance at stopping a plant. But he's going to be able to get into the back line. He finds the charge down onto A, but while all of that happens, Zyros ends up finding 3 for himself. And so that should be basically an instant defuse coming out from the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, we're seeing basically the same like aggressive push that we saw on point A. There just unfortunately wasn't enough quite to follow that up, to follow that, you know, dash into the plant, which is understandable. It's a little bit further away here, and the fights just didn't quite go the same way for Team Bork. But they're back here at this somewhat little bit of a choke point because they lost, of course, that waypoint. That is a huge retake, honestly, on the side of Powerpuff Girls.
Marsai was actually picked up. I don't know if we ever talked about that swap off coming in. Alternate ends up going down, and Zyros finds another one. Hades is going to get popped just to clean things up and now secure this waypoint for themselves and send them back. So with 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, Team Bork actually have to find their way to get that waypoint once more.
Yeah, this is actually one of the tougher choke points right here in this tunnel. There is just not a lot of freedom at all, especially when you have a strong Dom player who can just AoE that spot over and over. But look, you can see this, just more and more players falling. Actually Casino going down. The Exponent, it looks like diving the back a little bit, but they are going to be trading an Exia for an Exia. So this is not really going 100% one direction or not yet.
They still have their heals. Now we do have that hook on in, but the one shot wasn't quite there. They do follow up finally to take him out, but you've got the repair cable. Once again, he does not get that res though. Focus falling down now. Things are starting to fall apart for the defense, but again, Bork still need to establish themselves onto this waypoint, so there will be an opportunity for the Powerpuff Girls to try and stabilize once again for this hold. They've done a great job of bleeding out the time at the very least, now leaving them with 3.5 minutes to work with.
Yeah, this, I mean, that was a pretty long amount of time to retake that, but the Trans Am coming out, they want to end this now. They want to take advantage of this fully, and look at this. There is a great pick. There have actually been quite a few picks. I think they have to pick up a few people on the side of Bork, but this Trans Am just going wild. This is such a tough spot to fight a Trans Am Exia, or even just a normal Exia in. Not going to quite be able to finish off Kaiser, and it looks like there might be a pickup on, no, Casino's going down as well. They didn't even get a chance to pick him up, but doesn't seem like there's going to be a plant, unless there's maybe a sneaky plant on A.
It seemed like it was an answer, right? Trans Am for Trans Am, but when we talk about G maneuver discipline, it has been the Powerpuff Girls who've been doing a standout job when it comes down to it. They have 4 remaining, so it was just the energy cable Trans Am into that last fight, and that's all they needed. Screaming Nimbus is going to start things off for Bork as they try to find an opening, but no, the confusion is not quite there as Yuka ends up going down to his own flame. Now the push out onto the ace sites, but the high ground is being maintained, and the Methus will be able to get the res on to his Ashmar player Focus there. Will they be able to charge forward to try and get this waypoint? You can see Casino tries to go for it, almost gets his life for it, and he will end up going down, but a nice Methus alternate fire to finish off Exponent will slow things down just a bit. The defense reestablishing themselves, bleeding time down now to 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining for Bork here in the second half.
Yeah, I think maybe like a few more really strong picks could have even been a retake right there on the waypoint, but it looks like they're gonna be pushing up through the waypoint side, up the ramp. They are kind of splitting their push a little bit right here, and that can be really tough. The spot that we're seeing Casino hold right now is great for actually defending both of those angles. I'm not gonna get that res off, but once again, Exponent going down. We've seen it now from both sides. These teams at the top here are so good at focusing on a single stray Exia, and we're gonna have the duel. We're gonna have the Arena FPS duel, but it's gonna be definitely going the side of Casino, getting that flank, and let's see if they can clear out enough here.
Kaiser only gets one with that butterfly as well, and it gets rezzed up, but they are starting to bleed out members on the other side. Moist and Khaki going down. Here is the bomb defuse. He does have to get off of it. He was down to 500 HP. Exia getting to the back line right now as Bitey ends up going down, and this might be the push that Bork Gundam were looking for. There's still 30 seconds remaining here on the Mega Charge as they're trying to get bodies onto it, and they will get the defuse. So, despite throwing so much at that fight, Bork now are back left at square one.
Yeah, Casino was actually at like it had to be like 10 life right there. That was like a completely empty wheel just seeing that UI. That was really, really close to not happening, but they cleared out just perfectly in time, and whoa, amazing shots here. Kaiser looks like maybe got a little bit of like a double shot there with some collateral, and that's a really low focus. Not going to be able to get res. Winning pretty aggressively right there, and actually there's a few picks now on the side of Bork, so Bork is going to have one really good opportunity to push here. That's going to be Xyros going down to Exponent, and just, I mean, they can plant anywhere here. They can plant. They've got a great opportunity. It might go down on A.
Yeah, it looks like they will go ahead and get that one down this time around. And they do have the man advantage. We have a full regroup, though, coming out from Powerpuff Girls, and they've got the Ashmar Punch along with the Hades. The Ashmar Punch creates space, and then Hades just gets free shots after that. They get the knock onto Moist JP without having utilized anything. Now, with a 6v5, they're going to go ahead and charge forward. Casino leading the charge without a Screaming Nimbus quite yet, but he is super close to it. Catches the flank, and now he will be able to get that Mega Charge defuse. Nope! He's getting flanked from behind. He's got the backup of his teammates. Extra time ticking down, and it's going to be Kaiser on the defuse of the Mega Charge, and that is going to be Powerpuff Girls holding them on the second half, but there was still good progress made by Bork on that plant.
Yeah, and I want to point out how actually strong that last moment was from Casino. You know, almost done, like 80% done with that that like disarm, but just realizing like, okay, I got hit one single time. I have a teammate next to me. There's no time left. There was no hesitation. Just turn on Screaming Nimbus, and there was actually nobody left to hit because the teammate actually took out the person that shot him. But regardless, it was such an immediate reaction, like, okay, I'm just not going to take any risks. If I go down right here trying to get greedy, then we could lose an entire game due to that one tiny mistake. So I'm going to make sure 100% that we're as safe as possible. And that's a spot where, like, a lot of times if you're not really used to the situation, if you don't have that like competitive experience, you're gonna hesitate. You're like, should I ult right now? Should I G maneuver? But there was zero hesitation, and you love to see it, and it did, of course, pay off. So now we're gonna see them switch sides, and like you said, this is definitely a map that can be held completely on a side. So this is not over by any means, especially with how strong both these teams have proven to be defensively.
Yeah. What I will say, though, on the defense, I mean, Powerpuff Girls were doing a fantastic job. When it came down to G maneuver efficiency, you know, you kind of have to say that there's maybe a 50% difference, right? Powerpuff Girls, when it came to their defense, a lot of the pushes that were coming out from Bork, they were expending maybe 3 G maneuvers, but Powerpuff Girls, they were doing an amazing job of just kind of pairing their G maneuvers instead, right? So it would be something like the energy cable with the Hades, and then the next push would be Screaming Nimbus, followed up by an Ashmar punch. They weren't over expending on their utility overall, so things are looking really good for Powerpuff Girls when it comes to ultimate discipline, and honestly, that's just a great sign for their skill ceiling overall. Nice pick off there with that Gym Sniper. That's Casino going down first.
Oh yeah, you love to see the immediate pick, and that's going to make things so much more difficult. We are, of course, going to see just the run back. The Gym Sniper on defense, it can get some really nice picks, really slow things down, but it's not going to be as big as a Gym Sniper getting a pick on the offensive side. In fact, offense is just going to continue. They're going to be taking that high ground, but it's not going to matter all that much if everybody's just going to keep going down. And there's just so much high, far-range damage on this team that it's going to just tough for offense to find their way in, but they are starting to find their way closer to that waypoint.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and charge forward now, finding that knock onto Exponent. They'll find one more Khaki falling, and that should just be the rest of the members of Bork going down. They need to regroup to try and establish some sort of defense on this A-site choke, and it looks like they might not even play for it and actually wrap around and go take that high ground and go for B instead.
Yeah, this is a really, really strong point. If you can take it, it is, I would say, considerably easier to defend than A overall. The run back's a little bit further if you do get picked, but you can really, really choke point the defensive team in that spot that they're actually in right now. Right now, they got a win, though. Kaiser's going to go down. Although 2 now going down, 3 going down, 4 going down on the side of Bork, and they only have 1 suit up, and that's probably not gonna be enough to defend all of this. Yeah, probably shooting through that grate right there. You can't shoot through the little bit of like grating, the fence that you can see right on screen immediately, but this is going to be very hard to take back.
Yeah, Mega Charge up there on that B site, on that high ground, leaving really only 2 avenues of approach for the opposing side, for the defense here. We'll see. It doesn't look like they have much in the way of G maneuvers available for themselves. They do have the Ashmar punch. Never mind, it's gone because Focus has been taken down. Now this is just a war of attrition as Subject has fallen and Zeros. So the Mega Charge defuse should be coming in here for Team Bork.
Well, right after I say how difficult it's going to be, they just have such a clean clear. But really, I promise that can be a very difficult spot to take back. But that was just excellently played by Bork. I'm actually really surprised that they're sticking with this GM Sniper. I know it does have the G maneuver now. I wonder if we see the used, if it might be switched off of eventually. But we're in some pretty tight indoor areas here. And we are going to see actually, wow, just 2 kills, I think, actually, from that GM Sniper before it goes down.
But it does end up getting recovered, though, so not as much value as you would imagine. Bitey going in, Screaming Nimbus as well with a punch. So that's what I'm talking about. The pairing of these G maneuvers that come out from the defense is so good. Or, excuse me, from the offense. We'll see if they can find a little bit more, though, as they are getting chased back now toward their waypoints. And you have to be careful about bleeding here. At this point, a Subject has gone down. Alternate gets res back into this. Hades has been used, and so they might have to expend a little bit more, but they're not going to be able to get this waypoint away. Now they fall back towards this choke.
All right, this is not a lot of time left. We're down to 2 minutes, and this can be, again, it's going to be a very difficult spot to push in on, right? It's not going to be just an immediate, like, once they start holding this spot, you have to pick off people in a lot of different areas, and it takes a decent amount of time. It looks like this is going to be the push, though. Screaming Nimbus, that's going to hit a decent amount of that team. So many of them going down, actually. This might be the opportunity to plant.
Yeah, they need to finish off these kills, though. Exia goes in. Transam has been shut down. 150 HP. You need to take out the turrets. It already took out one of your team members, but now here's the Gym Sniper battle. And this one's going to be difficult. He only has his Vulcan cannons, but it's fine. He still hits the headshot onto Casino to take him out. And this Gym Sniper has proven to be actually extremely valuable even after they've been shut down from that waypoint.
Yeah, Bork loves like listening to what I'm saying and then just proving me wrong immediately. I'm like, they're fighting indoors in really short ranges a lot, and then just 1v1s, maybe the best Dom with just up close with the gym sniper. It's like, oh yeah, easy, just hit headshots, right? Well, no big deal, like just click heads. So really great stuff so far, and only 50 seconds left. There's only gonna be one probably significant push left in the tank here for Powerpuff Girls. This could actually be a defensive hold completely on A.
It's only the energy cable up, and that's all they need. Casino and Focus are taken down. The only trade is going to be onto Kaiser there. Kaki has fallen, though. The Hades has been popped by Subject on the other end, and it's a war of attrition. They need to fight a little bit more. They need to try and get the reses. You can see now Casino coming in with that run back, and they've got the Unicorn here to top everyone off. Zeros is able to get that plant down. No, it is denied. And now with only 19 seconds remaining, they're going to be scrambling to try and get this plant.
This might actually happen, though. It does seem like Bork got pushed back. It does seem like they're going to be pretty safe to at least, get the plant off. And in fact, the attempts to stop the plant from even happening led to 2 picks. Batty's going to go down in return, but the numbers are just slightly in the favor of Powerpuff Girls here. The huge fight in the middle is going to go again to Powerpuff Girls. We're going to see that actually the Zaku 2 ranged and the X go down. That was interesting. Maybe an attempt to get back to point faster right there, but they are about halfway here. There's going to be maybe one big push left now from the defense before they're going to go to the second point, and that was such a clutch plant.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls, they don't have any G maneuvers quite yet. Ashmar is close. Screaming Nimbus is 30% off. Casino needs a little bit more, and you can see the full regroup coming out from Bork here for the defensive side. Exponent is in, and there's the Ashmar punch. 2 down, that's Casino and Fatty. The only trade is onto Moist as the Trans Am gets popped. Now Exponent into the back line to finish things off. There's 8 seconds remaining there on the Mega Charge, but it is getting defused, and we are on the verge of going to a map number 3. Bork hold on the first half of Underground Command Center, sending us to a map number 3.
Wow, that was an extremely clutch plant at the final moment and an extremely strong reverse team kill at the final moment. Once again, like these teams, this has to be the most even teams I've ever seen. Not only now are they going to a map number 3, but they have both successfully defended every single side of the map. Like there has been no full wins so far, and yet they've gotten to different distances. This is like how the game is intended to go when you actually have super even teams, right? You're supposed to like actually pay attention to how far you get on the plans. It's not supposed to be just like a full clear every single time. Like this is the epitome of how I think these game types are supposed to go, and this is awesome to see. And now the fact that we've seen like really just amazing defensive holds on both sides, preventing the even first point from being taken now from both teams on different maps. I feel like I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen in this third map. But you did mention we are not going to have the opportunity to see a third destruction map, so we're going to see if that defense can transfer over to a different game type now. We could of course get a game type that has 0 defense on it essentially, or we could get Flag Fort or Harbor City, so I'm excited to see.
Yeah, Thermal Plant is going to be the first ban here, leaving only Flak Fort or Harbor City. And so it all comes down to, I believe it's going to be Powerpuff Girls on this next ban, sending us on over to Flak Fort to be the decider of this match. And Flak Fort, it's always the litmus test of a good team. We're seeing some great defensive holds coming out so far from Bork. The difference is that, of course, those defensive holds were on destruction maps instead of point capture maps.
Yeah, although I gotta say, just as far as like defense in general, I love watching defensive teams that are really strong at defense play on Flak Fort more than almost any other map. I actually really like it on Quarry as well, but I love especially that first point, right? We've had so much fun watching how teams choose to defend and attack that first 8 points. So I feel like, again, we could get one of the situations where one of the teams could potentially hold off that first point the entire time if we see some really strong defense, but it is really difficult. It is really difficult, but we've seen the defense from these teams. So this is a really cool map to end this on. Again, it's a very kind of neutral map, which is why we see it picked so often, and I loved it as a decider.
Yeah, and Powerpuff Girls have decided to actually start off on the defense here, and I see it seems like that is kind of like the running trend with Powerpuff Girls. They do actually favor going for the defense first, and I can understand why, because you really do set yourself kind of like a definite goal when it comes to being able to like get a hold on any of these points, and then you kind of set it easier goalpost basically for yourself, but that kind of worked out in against them in that last map. So now we're just waiting for our players to get in. But yeah, again, sending us to another map number 3. I love when we get down to the lower brackets. That's when we finally start hitting the map number 3s where so much is on the line.
Yeah. As we get to the lower bracket, as we get a little bit further on the tournament, that's where it gets to be the juicier matches. But just looking at these matches, I've been trying to kind of figure out, like what's going well for each of these teams and what's not going well for each of these teams. And honestly, we've had so much of a POV of Exponent that on that Exia that I feel like so much of it is based on that, because we've seen Exponent go in and get focused immediately, and it delays an entire, like push, and then there's not quite a follow up, and then we've seen Exponent go in and take out like an entire like team or entire half of a team, and the push goes perfectly. So I think that it's not necessarily that it's like a bad time to go in, but I think maybe like if they can find the right moments to go wild, they've had some really, really good full offensive pushes, especially using some of the Screaming Nimbuses even on their team that I've seen. So I think as long as they can find those perfect moments as a team to all move in together as one and take advantage of that like level of aggression that they've shown a little bit more than I'd say Powerpuff Girls, I think that's when Bork is going to do really, really well. But Powerpuff Girls is just so solid. I mean, I think that's their biggest strength, right? It's just their level of like solidness, where it's not necessarily just their DPS that's like ridiculous at aiming. They've got the kind of obviously they've got Casino, which is a support that can be their top damage. They've got players that are on the more of like the flex roles, like Focus, who of course we got to see the POV of a lot in Halloween Havoc, who is just an unbelievably strong player as well. On top of course, their already ridiculous DPS. So it's like every single person on the team is strong, and it's great to see.
Yeah, going back to that point about like how Exponent has been playing, I mean, the general trend for our Exia players has been a bit more of a safer route, right? And it does seem when it comes to Exponent that he does run a larger risk, right? He doesn't save the same pool of dashes that a lot of our Exia players will, right? They kind of open up things up with like the jump in first and then save all 3 dashes to get out. But he has been going a lot more aggressive, and it has been paying off for them. When it came down to the Team Sucky Vampires, when he was taking much higher risks this time around, playing a little bit safer there, leaving himself a few more avenues of exits. It could come down to, especially there on that map, having more exits because of how many different like kind of tunnels and lanes you have to play off of on that first point. But again, Exponent has been doing a standout job. It's very high risk, high reward, and I still love seeing that kind of play style.
Yeah, I was actually just about to use that exact same term, high risk, high reward. It's very different than like you said, a lot of the other Exias. So I'm excited to see if it pays off. It has paid off a little bit more or a little bit less based on the past 2 maps. It does look like one of the players crashed. We're getting them back into the lobby just to make sure that everything is all good. So we appreciate your patience as we're waiting. I know everybody is on the edge of their seats for this final match. I definitely am. Well, not the final match of the day. Of course, there's going to be one right after this. There is, of course, Team Sucky Vacuum sitting in that grand finals, chilling, waiting for their rematch with either of these teams. But there we go. That was a quick way to get back in. Let's go. I am so excited for this. Got to be one of the closest matches that we've ever seen here in any of the Gundam Evolution Newtype League tournaments. So we are going to see the comp, and it's looking pretty expected.
Yeah. So again, Flak Fort is just that standard map. It's that great litmus test of how defensive teams are playing. But so far, the indicators either side, they've been basically amazing on their defensive holds. Right now, it does look like Bitey will be picking up that turn A Gundam, so they want a little bit more punching power to get through for that first push. They're going with the Methus though, which is surprisingly enough, because here on point A, I feel like there's so many grouped fights that can really utilize that basically overall team armor.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've seen some Methus and Unicorn both on this map, and I mean, especially the turret. Honestly, on this point, is very, very. I always say it, but it's like a very cheeky turret spot. So like, there's a lot of spots where it can actually do a ton of damage, very surprisingly, because there's a lot of little tiny angles you have to pay attention to. But we are going to see the push now here from Exponent down towards the right side. Maybe going to go for a little bit of a flank. Oh, or a huge flank. We saw this from Bozos last time. The full fly over the building. Let's see if this works out.
Oh, he gets instantly caught out doing it. You can see that they already pick up 3 kills there. Moist does get rezzed, but they still have to wait because there is no recovering Exponent in the back line there.
Oh, famous last words. Let's see if this works out. Boom, just immediately one shot. That was really smart. That must have been sound cues that they used to hear that, because they were so ready. And you can use sound cues a lot in this game for very particular things. That was a strategy that was used against Powerpuff Girls before in the last tournament, so they definitely know that it's possible. But nice shots. Not quite gonna be able to get the finish there.
Yeah, they do find one on to the Ashmar player, and they have a second player behind them as well, and they need to deal with that threat. They end up losing out on zeros because of it. Methus ends up finding that kill, but they should be able to get the res. He is safe behind. Never mind, the Xe is here. He is ready to get his revenge, but Exponent has not found anything quite yet. Moist has gone down once more on that Methus, and that's going to be another defensive hold coming out from the Powerpuff Girls, but they do need to go ahead and try to fight for the retake, because 2 ticks have been secured by Bork.
Yeah, this is looking pretty decent so far. I mean, honestly, despite the fact that there was a lot of ticks taken, right? Half the ticks taken. This is, I usually say we expect to see A taken at some point. So as long as you're not gonna just immediately give it up, as long as you're delaying this push a little bit, you're doing okay. It's considerably harder to take the next point on this map as the run back is strong, even on offense. But here we go again. We're gonna see Exponent going in, and this is gonna be the Exia duel. Just trying to get the finish off. That is not gonna be a health pack available. That was a great move. Had no idea that the health pack wouldn't be available. If it was available, that might have gone the other direction.
Third tick was actually conceded by the defense from the Powerpuff Girls, having to deal with that threat of Exponent in the back line, but they're back here with the Dom, with the Methus, clearing everything out and sending them packing. Now we're down to 2 minutes and 38 seconds left here on point A, and all they need is just get that 1 quarter remaining.
Yeah, this is a really long hold, though, honestly, all things considered. I keep saying it, you know, the fact that you're only giving up little bits of ticks at a time. I do have to assume that the next decently successful push will take this, and you do get a lot of time on this map extra once you take this A. So we'll see if there's some sort of really strong hold inside of PPG. Otherwise, we are going to see, is this going to be the flank again? It is going to be the flank again. You know, 3rd time's the charm. It did really work really well the last time. Wow, that is a really risky pickup right there, maybe a little bit too risky, and that's going to be probably an attempt to have to regroup here on the side of Bork.
Yeah, I believe quite possibly the Ashmar punch might have been used on, yeah, it was definitely used for G maneuvers going to that defense, but they have the only 2 that matter for this next fight. They've got that turn A Gundam G maneuver along with that Screaming Nimbus. Now it can be difficult here because there is so much elevation that teams can use to try and avoid that one, right? The multiple high grounds, but it's just going to be the butterfly first off to try and shut things down. But no, it's Kaiser that gets shot out of the sky. They will be able to recover him, though, and the trades are starting to go in the favor of PPG. They still have the Screaming Nimbus. They're holding on to it for as long as possible, and Casino just playing off that discipline, not using it too early here, but it might be a little bit too late. 35 HP, he doesn't even pop that one. It's going to be the butterfly on the other side to crack things open now. Time added on for Bork Gundam to now make the push onto point B. 3 minutes added onto their timer, and they get a nice stagger onto the Methus player.
Yeah, that might have been just Casino seeing the writing on the wall. Like, even my G maneuver here won't be enough, so we're just going to hold it for this next point to try to, you know, at least delay them longer on here, because delaying them just from getting A is just going to simply stagger us, and it will, of course, just give that up for that resource. But already we're going to see Bork pretty much on top of point B here. They've got to fight for this high ground, but they have pushed forward so fast.
And they've already lost out on 2 throughout all that. Big pickups coming out from Casino along with their turn A player. That's going to push them back. There it is again. Casino has been so aggressive, and I love these drive-by dash-ins with his rockets. He's been doing this multiple times throughout this entire series. He's been playing this Dom probably as one of the most aggressive Doms so far in our series. Now the choke. Oh, nice nade onto Kaki, taking him out. Casino dropped down to 138. Give him the energy heals, please. The back line there. You can't just go ahead and focus that on your DPS, because Casino is one of your DPS.
It's true. It's true. Casino just does every role in the team all at once. And that's the strength of Dom. I see chat's talking a lot about Dom and the potential little nerf it's getting. But here we go. Gonna use that high mobility to get over, and we're gonna have the Exia duel, one of the most fun duels to watch. But even in the 2v2, this is gonna go very heavily in the favor of Bork here. And yeah, they're gonna take down even another player. Although actually gonna be trading Methus for Methus. This is gonna be their first opportunity to try to get at least a tick on here. I don't think they have their full team. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to permanently hold here, but even if they can get that one permanent tick, honestly, it might have been better to just stay on point rather than trying to fight right there. It looks like they're now super staggered, and they're going to have to sit here and wait for the reset.
It was actually like a 4-for-4 exchange overall, but of course the defensive run back being so much shorter, they're able to get back in time. So no tick is secured there from Bork Gundam. Now we got 2 G maneuvers online for the defense on Powerpuff Girls. They've got the Ashmar punch, and that punch from the other side to open up space, and that's just enough. Alternate finding one. Yuki will go down, but he trades for Batty, and now they're onto the point. This should be a few ticks at least secured as the Trans M is popped. 200 HP, 85. He's able to make it back to that small health pack as they trade for even more. Moist has gone down, so now they have lost out the heals on the point. As the Trans Am ends, they're able to find one more throughout all this, but still they're bleeding bodies and they haven't secured the tick quite yet, but they are finding the kills.
Yeah, they need just a little bit more. Okay, they get the tick at the very, very minimum. They're going to be threatening to get the second tick now. It does look like the defense team is going to be pushing back really strongly. There might be a little bit of a retreat here on the side of Bork, but no, again, Exponent, of course, just going for those picks, trying to get the finish before it goes down to the turn A, and that is going to be successful and not go down. We're going to go all the way to 3 ticks here, pretty much guaranteed, and now we need to see one huge push back from PPG, otherwise this is going to be game.
No G maneuvers except for that energy cable, and he's still running back from spawn, unfortunately, but they don't need it. It's a drive by for themselves, and they picked up 3, maybe even 4 in just a moment onto this Exia. They don't actually finish off that Exia, and you know how long an Exia can stall for with this maneuverability. Now we do have Moist back on in. The energy cable popped on the Khaki onto that Pale Rider, and he's starting to dish out the damage, but he ends up going down. Never mind, he actually takes out Casino, and Focus finds one more. The res will not go through, and it looks like the defense just holds in the nick of time. We do have the turn A Gundam going in with that ultimate now, and he might be able to clear out the point just to secure this last little bit of progress, but no, Bitey ends up getting cleaned up, and now it's going to come down to Exponent along with their Dom player here on the high ground.
Yeah, very, very strong defense. Just not quite let them close that out, but all the health packs gone. There is going to be a walking health pack right next to it, but this is going to be a really scary opportunity for... Oh, wait, was that time? I didn't even realize. I was not looking at the time. I thought there was more time than that. Wow, I'm bad at this.
Eureka, despite ending up getting, what, 2 more picks at the end there, you need to get onto the point. Remember, this is an objective game, so it's going to be 95.1% on the second half on point B of Flak Fort. It was a really great defense coming out from Powerpuff Girls, bleeding them down to 1 minute remaining on point A before Bork were finally able to crack that one on open. Exponent, I don't know if he's going to stick with his Zaku 2 ranged for the defense. This one's a little bit tricky because he has been doing a fantastic job on that Exia.
Yeah, you know, I think I was confused as to the time because it didn't feel like they were playing the time was about to end, right? I felt like there was plenty of time left, even in those last few seconds, for X-Men to get on point with that extra mobility and try to just dash around and delay as the rest of the team got there. As we started to see, you know, for example, like JP getting on point, but nobody stood on point. So they were playing a little bit like slow there, and I was surprised. So it didn't even give me that sense of urgency. I would love to know what exactly happened there. Maybe they had somebody on point and they thought they were going to be able to survive a little bit longer and they didn't quite, but regardless, still a pretty good push overall. And it looks like we are going to be on this Zaku 2 range. That is pretty interesting. Zaku 2 range can be an absolute menace, some of the highest DPS in the entire game if you can get into your ideal situation. But I mean, giving up Exia for Zaku 2 ranged, that's always a tough pill to swallow.
This is questionable because we got to see what the Exia versus Exia, you know, duel kind of meant in terms of that defensive hold. If you're able to shut down that flanker early on, I mean, Exia, of course, is going to be a great duelist up against himself. Whoever lands that stun first ends up getting that knock. So not running it is kind of strange. It's going to be standard here for Powerpuff Girls. They've got that turn A Gundam. It looks like actually Casino wants to get aggressive here on the lower side. Focus is going to go in for that flank for the Ashamar.
Yeah, this is, of course, going to be a directional pole. I guess there was some mines there. I wasn't expecting those, but I guess you never do expect the mines. Just for a little bit of extra damage, just to say, okay, now you're like a normal HP character going into this. But here we go. We're going to see a little bit of the damage come out from the Zakutu ranged. Another suit that I'm extremely excited to see, using these smoke grenades, which has pop out, get a little bit of healing, get the reload in, the super long reload time, of course. But this is just so much damage. Yeah, if you can chunk people like that, but you're going to be low HP yourself, and Exia can absolutely melt you.
Yeah, the timing when you play with Zakutu ranged, it takes a lot of finesse to actually play that one well, because you really need to utilize your cooldowns for a lot of things, right? You've got the reload animation cancel and all this other stuff. Right now, though, in this fight, it's only 2 ticks that's been secured by the Powerpuff Girls. We got the run back coming in for Exponent. But yeah, you have to be careful, and you have to really play around your cooldowns. Your smoke screen, if it's down, it's really hard to get aggressive onto it because you do need a way to get out the additional, 2 seconds or so it provides. Basically gives you full charge on most of your dashes. You utilize, of course, the concussion grenade to get that, to get the recharge animation, or excuse me, reload and cancel as well. You can't just throw these out and go fishing for fishing with dynamite with that one. You really do have to be a bit more cognizant of it.
Yeah, its damage is actually extremely low, especially when you compare it to something like the Pale Rider version of the grenade. It does do a knockback, which is kind of its big advantage. It splits people up or pushes them into walls, but overall, it is a longer cooldown, and we are going to see this kind of little corner hold over here. It looks like a lot of the PPG is already pushing in, but let's see if this flank works out. Immediately targeted, going down to about 1/3 HP. He's going to be able to at least finish off the downed Exia. Can we get more than one? It looks like the rest of the team is going to hold. Most of the team of Bork is in a great position. Yeah, the grab is only going to do so much. It stops CCs on you, but it's not going to stop you from getting melted from an entire team. So great hold from Bork Gundam.
Yeah, 3 G maneuvers, 4 G maneuvers about to come online. They do have the Hades to play off of. They want a little bit more, though, just to give them that extra strength. So if they can get their energy cable, just pair those 2 together, and then maybe utilize the Screaming Nimbus with the large heat axe in the next fight after that. 2 minutes remaining now for the Powerpuff Girls on this fight. It looks like they're going to go ahead and try and wrap around to the left-hand side. You can see Unicorn on the other side, possibly trying to build up towards that G maneuver. Now, we do have the Powerpuff Girls on the point. It's going to be Focus going down first, but it's going to be Ashmar for Ashmar. And there it is, the Turn A Gundam Ultimate being utilized with the Screaming Nimbus as the backup. But the Hades is still putting in work so far. Subject hasn't fallen quite yet, but he will go down. Bitey picking that one up. Another great hold coming out from Bork.
Yeah, this one, we really got to see the power of the Zakutu ranged, which is just, like I said, some of the highest DPS in the entire game. I think technically maybe the highest DPS in the entire game, if you can land all headshots, which of course is very difficult to do. But we saw just 2 or 3 suits get completely melted. We saw a suit get finished off. And this is a great angle to play with it, right? You're never going to fight too many long angles if you're holding here. But wow, even if you're just holding it behind a corner, you're just getting melted immediately.
Yeah, you have to be worrisome when it comes down to these 800 HP units. The Hades has been popped. There's the Heat Axe, and he finds 2 off the back of that. Again, just pairing these G maneuvers so well now, bleeding down the time to 1 minute remaining here for the offense. The Powerpuff Girls, will they get held on the point A once again? Things are looking quite dire for them.
Yeah, we're looking like this might be a repeat of, honestly, one of our previous matches, right? Every single one has been a little bit of a second point for one team and then another team getting held on A. And we're looking to see that exactly again. This has to be a huge push. I'm not sure exactly what G maneuvers are up for the offense, but we really, really need them to be the ones that matter here. And just immediately jumping around. The Screaming Nimbus coming in, but that is going to be about a half HP Casino. Still going to be able to hit a few people. Of course, you don't always want to target out directly, but we're gonna see the 1v1 fight back here. This is gonna go the direction of, it looks like, Casino, and that's gonna be a lot of actually playing members of Bork going down. This might be the hold. We're gonna see the punch come out from Ashmar though to try and even things up, and that's gonna be 4 players going down now on the side of PPG.
What a beautiful hold, because that Ashmar punch basically was the only G maneuver they had available to them in that fight, and they were able to use that one to cancel it out, and that is going to be Bork Gundam securing the win here in Flak Fort. That's the 2-1 now. They're headed back for that rematch in the upper bracket in the grand finals.
That was such a good Ashamar punch. That was really the game-winning moment. I mean, they moved in so strong. PPG, they entered with as many G maneuvers as they could. That was a great screaming Nimbus. We saw Casino win the 1v1. They were up about maybe 6-3, 6-4 right there, and then that one single Ashamar punch turned it around completely. I think that must have hit like 4 different people, and then they just followed up so perfectly. Of course, that is a great G maneuver, but you have to follow it up. It doesn't do that much damage by itself, and a single Ashamar is not going to be able to follow it up for more than maybe like finishing off one person. So just an amazing coordination right there to follow up that Ashamar punch, turned everything around. But I still gotta say, this has been one of my favorite sets. I cannot believe it. Exactly what I said happened. It was one team gets partway through point B and the other team gets held on point A. This is the most defensive set that we've seen probably ever in this entire series.
And to go back to that last point, behind that Ashmar, Yuika was at, I believe, 70% towards that G maneuver. So he had to put in some work before he got there. So it wasn't just clutching up and finding the right angle for it, but building up the damage to do it, surviving long enough to build it up. And so it was just a great hold. I feel like there might have been a moment for Casino to actually try and take the duel up against that Zaku before they went for that the Screaming Nimbus. I feel like maybe he thought he did a little bit more damage with that initial shot. And then here's the thing, I didn't get to really talk about it, but the 800 HP units, they leave themselves extremely vulnerable taking the duels up against the Dom. You have the 1200 versus 800, but a direct connect along with that laser basically finishes off any 800 HP target. And so like if he just held on, fought the duel first, and then went in for that Screaming Nimbus, that could have been a difference maker for the Powerpuff Girls.
That is a possibility, of course. Yeah, I totally understand why we saw the Screaming Nimbus right there immediately. It was like a really scary situation, but yeah, even if it maybe Casino had managed to force the smoke grenade first out of the Zaku 2 ranged, that could have changed things completely, right? Made it a little bit more vulnerable for whatever G maneuvers were coming next, or even the Screaming Nimbus itself. But yeah, I mean, Casino like walked through, got immediately flanked by a Zaku 2 range, which can just completely melt you. And once you get to that like fully melted life, not quite dead yet, the Screaming Nimbus, you can actually be very easily targeted out of it and just killed before it actually is useful. So I get it, but yeah, that was I mean, it was such a good choice, I guess. In the end, we were questioning whether or not the Zaku 2 ranged was going to really like be worth getting rid of an Exia, and it did do a lot of damage. It held some really good angles. That's clearly something like a strategy that they had in mind, keeping that little kind of like downstairs, like back in the corner angle, and then anybody who walks through there just immediately gets flanked. It's a strategy that they've clearly worked on, but that does mean that we are going to see PPG just barely going out at third this time. Still a better placement than their previous match, and we still love to see them. So they're within that top echelon easily, but it means that we're going to get the rematch of the winners finals as our grand finals, where it's going to be Team Sucky Vacuum against Team Bork.
Yeah, and I can't wait, because again, this is going to go to a 5 map set. So we only got the 2 bands initially, and then from there we're going to play out everything afterwards. We saw a lot of set plays and a lot of it looks like very strategic map picks throughout, and so we'll see if during this time that maybe Bork kind of figure out how they want to try and approach this matchup up against Team Sucky Vacuums.
Well, there's going to be a little time before that. Of course, we are going to be getting this match set up, especially just because we did have Bork play through this entire set, and they're going to have to go into another tough one pretty much immediately. So we're going to give them a little bit of a break as we set things up, but you're not going to want to miss this for sure. We're going to be heading in the grand finals, especially all you Carl Sagan fans out there. I still see you in the chat. There's going to be a return of Carl Sagan and, of course, the rest of Team Sucky Vacuum. But when we come back, it'll be time to crown our champion. Grand finals right after this.
On these outer points.
Yeah, that 12% is just because they left the point pretty early to kind of get in position, which maybe could have held a little bit longer, but it doesn't really matter. And again, the fight here up on the high ground to be, they are going to be pushing for it. It does look like we have the hero on the other side, the big punch, and that's why Ashamar is so good on this map. That is the perfect angle, the perfect range for the punch shot right there. You can see that extra health from, oh, okay, we're going to see the Screaming Nimbus. You can actually knock a lot of people into the wall here, into the water. Regardless, it doesn't even matter.
Unclumping, right? They're not allowing themselves to just get one shot by that Ashmar punch. Nice Trans Am engage there. There's going to be a 2-for-2 exchange, but looks like maybe, quite possibly, a first team fight one going on over. They still have three G maneuvers. Peppermon, Carl Sagan, the unseen threat.
And here we go. We see actually the Method's boosted Exia here, but not able to get anything as we see 2 picks from Bitey on the turn A. 3 picks now from Bitey on the turn A.
It's going to be traded back and forth, actually. No one finding a pick quite yet, but they are grouped up here on the right-hand side. And Zeros will be able to find one. Batty finds one more for his squad. Off of that Mega Health Pack, but as they charge forward, the axe doesn't quite connect. That's the C-Snare coming in, and they're able to charge in with that follow-up. Great utilization of that Marasai ult. G maneuver ready, pop, the push out, 1 shot left, basically remaining there. As Fusion Blackie does find one with that overhead throw, but Saris will fall once again. Batty coming up clutch, and he has been a one-man army. Looks like there are going to be a few trades. The turn A will get onto that A site, get that plant down.
Shots here to stop this. Like you said, you can hit so many at once. Whoa! So much damage.
Like a bad plant for them. They have been able to turn around. The turn A butterfly ultimate coming down as well. As this is such a fractured fight. It seems like there's 6 individual fights going on with turn A coming in to clean up all of them.
This was entirely, it was one person that set up the bomb. It was one person that defended the bomb as everybody else got back. And then it was that big G maneuver that defended the bomb fully from the entire team fight. That was like MVP moment. It's time for grand finals here at Gundam's Grace. We have fought through the entire bracket over the course of the past 2 days, and only 2 teams remain. It's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums going up against Team Bork in a rematch of Winners Finals. But once again, to bring you the final set of the day, I am Evan Wonder Chef Hashimoto, joined by James Jamerson Lee. And honestly, I am thinking this is going to be a lot closer than we saw in Winners Finals. I think that all of these teams that were honestly even within the top like 4 at least are very close in skill to each other.
Yeah, and things are going to be starting off a little bit differently. I mean, after the first outing between these two teams, you know, you have to imagine that Bork have a different approach, especially when it comes to the map picks and bans. After that first match, it was a 2-0 in favor of Team Sucky Vacuums, and so you're going to want to try and change things up. We did get to see, of course, the Suzabi versus Suzabi list compositions in this matchup, and I think it's going to remain true when we go into this finals match as well.
Yeah, I mean, we did, of course, see them on 2 game types. One of them was a little bit weirder, I would say, because of course it was on Ministry of Defense and that was a destruction mission, but the just nature of that map makes it a little bit weirder. And then on Domination, of course, we did see Mountain R&D Lab between these two, which was a little bit more of a standard map that we tend to see. But if we do see any other maybe a little bit longer maps, I would potentially, you know, I could see some changes going up. We've seen some GM snipers a little bit more this time than previous, but again, of course, this is going to be a 3 out of 5 set, as this is grand finals. So we're going to start off with the ban on Mountain R&D Lab, not going back there.
And that's understandable because Bork did send them to the limit. And it was the first time we went to around 3, I believe, as well. When it comes to Mountain R&D, we very rarely get to see a round 3 on Mountain R&D. And we were particularly talking about whenever it would go down to that B site, it became very scary. And it was definitely more in favor for Bork whenever they did get that B side, but whenever we had the outside, the A and C points, that was kind of 50-50 between both teams.
It was, and yeah, I know they don't want to take that chance. Then also on the other side, I'm assuming that this is a ban from Bork, as I would assume that you would do everything in your power to get back here if you were Team Sucky Vacuums, but we are going to see Ministry of Defense banned, and that means our first map pick is going to be Underground Command Center. We did just see that pretty recently, but again, that's going back to a little bit more of a neutral map. So both of the maps that they played on, I think both of those teams were like, let's not risk that again, and we're going to see an entirely new set of maps going into this, and Harbor City actually as our guaranteed second map, so that's pretty interesting.
And surprisingly enough, I believe Harbor City was actually the ban for Bork in our first match, in that first best of 3, but this time around they're deciding to actually take it on over there. So I am definitely surprised by that. Map number 3 is going to be Thermal Plant, and so we will see the Domination map coming in, and that is the pick coming out from Team Sucky Vacuum. So second pick. I mean, we are going to, of course, see all these maps. If it does go to map number 5, it's going to be who wants to try and maybe finish things out on map number 4, if that's a possibility. And it looks like it's going to be Flak Fort, and the decider will be Quarry in the end.
Nice. So that means that at the very minimum, we're going to see every single game type between these two teams, even if it does go to a 3-0 in this set, which is really great to see, right? Of course, we're going to be starting off with the destruction mission, then we're going to be going to the point capture, then domination at the very minimum, and then Flag Fort and Quarry, of course, we've seen them as more of the, I would say, some of the more neutral maps in the game, so I do love them as kind of the deciding factors if we go longer in the set. But I guess let's talk about the first one, Underground Command Center, right? We've seen them before when they played, and it was a destruction mission, but like I said, it was a little bit of a weird map being on that R&D, but we are seeing a good amount of teams go to this a little bit as the tournament has gone later on, and I do like this map a lot. I've been really liking the way that a lot of these teams are trying to approach specifically Point A, right? Point A is a very interesting spot here because you can, or not Point A, but the first bomb sites. You can go around the corner to B, upstairs. You can push really heavily through A, just through that front door, just with a blitz. You can try to sneak around through the side to get to A from behind and kind of get behind the defenders. So I really like this point a lot, especially just being able to watch it. I'm not sure which of these teams are going to choose, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, on the defensive side, remember for Bork, they were the team that was actually rocking that Gem Sniper and well into the game as well before I believe a swap off was ultimately made. So they might rely upon that just a little bit more here. So that might be a consideration that Team Sucky Vacuums have to keep in mind that maybe, you know, if they go on the attacking side, they might want to answer in kind. I mean, especially when it comes to Underground Command Center, I feel like you should at least try to open up with the Gym Sniper, because you can just go ahead and run back to the spawn if you don't end up getting that initial pick, and then going back to your normal composition.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about these two teams together is that they're the two teams I would say that we are probably the most confident that they're actually Gym Sniper players on, right? We, of course, have seen, like you just said, we saw in that entire last set, the Gym Sniper from Bork, but then Carl Sagan using it on Harbor earlier, and then, of course, being able to use the turn A as well, so definitely strong within that role overall. So I wouldn't be super surprised if we did end up seeing it. I would also be not super surprised if we end up seeing turn A's instead, as that can work in multiple different spots on this map. But just the fact that both teams have that available is pretty interesting. You know, it's going to be a slightly different thing that you have to think about, because a lot of these teams seem like, even in spots where, like we've even seen on Harbor, spots where people didn't choose Gym Sniper, where that's such a popular pick for that first point. So we know these teams have that available, and I expect to see at least some form of it, whether it's actual Gym Sniper or turn A.
Yeah, and I can understand why, like, maybe you wouldn't want to do the swap off, just because getting that G maneuver meter built up is extremely important in these fights, that they can be so game changing, and especially when you want to just maybe expend one or two early on to get that initial push and then kind of try and snowball from there. So I can understand why you don't want to sink too much time into what you would eventually swap off from. But I would like to see, if this just comes down to sniper battles, you know, enemy at the gates, I would love to see that kind of gameplay end up kind of devolving here in this series. Yeah. Because again, Gym Sniper is still one of my favorite units to utilize here in Gundam Evolution, and having Carl Sagan on it was a great sight to behold as well. And I feel like we just haven't had enough of that gameplay. But it looks like we are ready for map number 1 in this best of 5 here in the grand finals for Gundam's Grace.
And speaking of the sniper, we are going to see it here on the defense, which is not going to be super surprising, but we are going to see it out of Carl Sagan. So we know that Bork was comfortable picking sniper on defense here. Now we know that at the very minimum, Team Sucky Vacuums is also comfortable picking it on defense here. So, you know, you might get your wish, that enemy at the gates type sniper battle. Let's see. Yep, I think that there's a pretty high likelihood for that. So I'm very excited to see it. I also really enjoy the suit, and I enjoy watching, of course, the ridiculous players just be able to click heads.
Yeah, Gym Sniper versus Gym Sniper, unless they swap off here, but with 4 seconds remaining. Again, you almost lose nothing to at least try to take a few shots from in here. You don't quite have the sight lines, but you can just instantly dash on back. They're being kept at bay. It looks like the focus will be on that high ground. There's the initial pick, alternate, finding that knock onto Listic, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange as Buddy does end up going down. They need to start now making their presence known here on the height, and it will be Exponent going up there, and it's already been vacated.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people just sitting on the waypoint on defense, but I don't know if they can hold this for very long. We've seen a lot of times there's just so many different angles. Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, we're going to see Tizin picked off by the sniper. We're going to see actually just a range repair, I think that was, actually onto Tizin. Tim's like, die by the sniper, live by the sniper. But they're holding pretty well, honestly, here for a spot that people tend to get run over on a little bit.
It was a good body block as well, as that repair was coming through, and so the Suzabi actually showing the value of having that big tanky body with that shield up to make sure that you're able to get that through. And so they're going to be able to force them back to spawn. You can see a very aggressive push actually coming out from Tizim, and does secure at least one more knock, and does delay things just a little bit longer. Only a minute has been ticked down though, but there it is, 2 picks coming out from Bork here on the offense.
Yeah, that is sometimes all you need. It does look like they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. We're going to see the Exia push, but it's just going to be, yeah, full retreat, I think, on the defensive side. They're saying, you know what, we don't want to get wiped here. We don't want to get staggered. We've seen that happen a lot. A lot of times the first big push for that waypoint clears out half the team. They just continue forward, stagger them, and then get the bomb plant, which then essentially goes off. So I do like that defensive option, but now we're going to see a pretty big push all the way over here on this left side.
Wall hack almost up, but Glitch ends up getting taken out as he tries to go into the back line now, focusing down that Suzabi, who has almost no HP left, and he will fall. JP does go down on the other side, though, as Bitey will get cleaned up, and it's Carl Sagan coming in for those headshots to take him out. We do have the repair gun, but it's going to get instantly thirsted as Yuika will fall.
Yeah, they almost had the close range sniper duel right there. I was actually getting really excited for that, but we didn't end up seeing that. It is interesting that we see that we are both still on the sniper here. This can be a nice angle to hold, and you can see even here, of course, I believe this is Sism's POV, being able to get some really solid damage in as they're running through by holding that outside angle. It's not an angle that a lot of people hold, but it can do a lot of damage.
Sagan finding another headshot there, and that's actually kind of impressive because, you know, alternate on that Dom isn't supposed to be one shot, so it's a team effort there as they charge forward now off the back of that initial pick. They only lose out on Tism, but not even for long. They'll be able to get the res onto him with the repair cable, and now they're going to try and make a concerted effort to try and get back this waypoint. They will actually be able to secure that.
Yeah, there is going to be one Ashamar caught out. It's going to be Bitey on that Ashamar, and that's going to be a little bit of a stagger, but retaking this waypoint is a really nice thing on this map. There's only about 2 minutes left as well. This can be a really, really hard point to find that push in and find that plant on. Ooh, yeah, I mean, good solid damage on both sides with this harass, but you do not want to be an 800 HP. That's at 10% of that at 800.
Another sniper pick onto the Dom. The Transdom's getting popped from either side. Actually, not quite yet from Exponent. They're just waiting things out. You can see a lot of G maneuvers being expended to this one. Exponent will fall without being able to fight back himself, but it looks like maybe possibly the repair cable or repair gun will come in, get him back on up. But this is a lot of G maneuvers being used once again to try and reestablish themselves on that waypoint, and they're not even winning this fight out handedly. There's actually a lot of defense coming on in, and they're going to fight over the point and actually take the waypoint away from Bork. Team Sucky Vacuums now playing off momentum, pushing forward. Alternate has fallen as Glitch will go ahead and go down in the back line, but he's done enough as Listic will be able to finish off Exponent. So now we're down to 1 minute remaining for Bork, who have not even been able to plant yet here in the first half.
Yeah, and look at this. We're almost on a 20 kill streak for Tsin. One of my favorite players to watch. I actually told him directly. I was like, you know, when I first watched you, I thought maybe you were hacking for a second, but that's just how good his aim actually is. And you can see exactly how that goes into play. And not only the aim, but the positioning as well. And I love in particular his aggression when Hades is up. But here we go. One more push, the Trans Am, and the full fly over. There's a lot of low HP suits right here. This looks like this could be a very effective push. We're going to see at least 3 go down just within this alone, and this might not only be the waypoint taken, but this might be the momentum. Yeah, you can see right here for the bomb plant.
Yeah. So you can see that Exponent is able to charge forward. No, Carl Sagan just lurking behind the entire time, waits until he is immobile and actually denies it. And that is so crucial now because now the rest of Team Sucky Vacuums are actually coming in. It's going to be a full 6-man hold. You can see the long run back. Even though you got this waypoint, you still have to get in. Tism ends up going down, but no one is able to touch and get the mega charge started. Beautiful hold coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums.
Carl Sagan jump scare right there. Where honestly did he even come from? It's not like he came down one of the sides or anything like that. He was standing in the doorway. I don't even know where he was sneaking around, but that was a huge play. And also there's no better feeling in this game than seeing somebody planting or disarming and you're playing GM Sniper and you're like, oh, they can't move, I'm sorry, and you just get that one tap on them. But wow, that was a huge play. I mean, just so out of nowhere. I felt really confident that that plant was going to get off, but I don't even know where the rest of the team ended up going. So really great first hold, not allowing really almost any progress even on that very first plant. This is going to be a very difficult defensive position for the side of Bork.
I mean, that was supposed to be the waypoint along with the plant at the same time for them, but man, what a huge shutdown coming out from Carl Sagan, which is understandable why he is such a fan favorite so far in the MVP vote. But it looks like we will get the Gym Sniper battles once again, so Bork will opt for that for themselves here on the defensive side, and I feel like with the way this map has gone so far, that Carl Sagan has to go ahead and answer in kind on the offense.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see that many sniper picks on either side, surprisingly, at the start of this game. I mean, there are some kind of routes that you can get through to not be super out in the open. We saw them eventually, more so once the battle started happening on the waypoint, but at the very beginning, it wasn't super sniper oriented. So I do hope we get to see a few more early 6 shots. I mean, we just want to see headshots with snipers, right?
Yeah, you have to be really careful about how you approach the fights. I mean, a lot of times you feel like you're safe from the sniper angles, but then all of a sudden you're just down. And there's the first knock. Exponent goes down, and they might actually be able to push off this momentum straight onto the point. The Exia is down, and so that's going to allow the Exia themselves to push forward. But Legacy gets focused down. Now that's going to be a 5v5. Wait, what? The zombie picked up by the defense there, and now you can see things are starting to fall apart for the offense. Alternate finds one more onto Nox, and Glitch ends up going down. The repair gun is there for Carl Sagan as he finds a pick himself, but the repair gun on the other side will be utilized as well. But the exponent has, excuse me, the waypoint has been captured by the offense as Listic ends up getting rezzed in.
Yeah, and again, that was Tizim just with that perfect positioning. Again, one of my favorite players to watch, just at that like 60 HP, managing to sneak around that tiny little wall, use the healing pack, which of course is really strong and getting nerfed in a couple of days, but that is going to be a first early plan. This has to be an immediate defense, or this is going to be the map. There are not enough people. I don't know if this is possible. Every single person up is there for Team Sucky Vacuums. They just need a second more, and yeah, that is just no chance. Like I said, that was too tough of a defensive position to be in for Bork. They had to just really hold that waypoint forever, or just somehow just have a strong permanent hold in A, and that was just not going to work. So great stuff from Team Sucky Vacuums, and honestly, so much of it was that one Carl Sagan snipe moment, just like that. There we go, earned MVP.
Yeah, honestly, that basically saved the round for them at the end, just being able to lurk around on the defense and just stop the planter at the end. I mean, I understand that this is more of like an action shooter, right, and team-based shooter, but there are still a lot of things to learn when it comes to games like CS:GO, in particular for this game mode, Destruction in particular, right? There's so much to learn, and Carl Sagan definitely had that kind of presence of mind to just bide his time and not get over aggressive on that gym sniper. He did pick his moments extremely well in that first map.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. I'm so sorry, Chad, if you remember, remind me. But there was a player who walked forward and like started disarming a bomb, and then just started and then backed up so that it gave the alert and waited for people to drop down in one of the previous games yesterday. I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was an Exia player, but I was like, oh, that's so like CS:GO, so Rainbow Six Siege-ish. Like, it's just exactly that level of strategy. And you know, again, I love seeing the strategies from different games going into these game types, but yeah, that was perfect. Still, it was well played by both sides, right? It was not an easy defensive victory there. It was just happened to be that Carl Sagan was in there at the right moment. That was going to be a really, really good push, I think, overall on the side of Bork. They had the entire team coming up from behind. They had the positional advantage if they had had everybody there, and that had actually been, you know, enough time for them to get there because of the bomb plant. But it just didn't end up happening, and that's just how things go sometimes. But again, you know, our team that has literally not lost a map continues to not lose a map.
Yeah, and now they are just 2 maps away from walking away as the victors of Gundam's Grace. Our next map is going to be on Harbor, and so if we saw some sniper battles taking place over here on Underground Command Center, there could be some more sniper gameplay. And to be honestly, so funny if all 3 maps came down to it. Thermal Plant, not quite where you can, you know, play the gym sniper as freely, but there are angles that you definitely can, right? Especially on the side angles.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying you should play sniper on Thermal Plant. Okay, I'm not saying you should, but definitely you can like at least stand back from the doors on the points on Thermal Plant and like aim through the doors and get some cheeky shots if you have like your daily mission. So I would love to see it, but I don't know if we will. But yeah, the first 2 maps for sure. Like this is for 2 teams that we have really strong snipers on. It's dope to see like 2 sniper I guess enabling maps, right? 2 of the maps that we don't see sniper, and we're like, why would you pick that there? So Harbor, we saw a really dominant game, I think, from actually was it? No, it was earlier on. I think it was against PPG from Team Sucky Vacuums. So they definitely know how to play this map. This is one of their, that's what I think one of the biggest strengths, right? They've shown that they can play really strongly on Ministry of Defense. They can play really strongly on Harbor, and those are the least used maps for sure out of this entire map pool. So I'm assuming that they're pretty much comfortable on every single map, and that is huge because even Bork, who is taking it, you know, to the really close matches against Team Sucky Vacuum, don't have maybe that experience on Ministry of Defense, for example.
And here we go, loaded up into Harbor. It is going to be, I believe, Bork starting off on the offense. Team Sucky Vacuums decided to start off on the defense here. And I'd be surprised if they actually went without the Pale Rider for this one. But we did get to see Bork actually opting in for the Suzabi. And so they kind of want to try and play around that one. And it's understandable, right? Having the tankier body in front of your gym sniper, try to obscure some vision in that gym sniper battle. But not having the Pale Rider is also questionable.
Yeah, this is overall a strange comp. I mean, I guess I see it. I would hope that maybe there would be a Pale Rider once we get to the second point on this map, if we do get to a second point. But I'm a big fan, I gotta say, of Bitey, because Bitey has been switching around roles a decent amount, actually. We've seen him, I think that was on 3 different suits in the past, but here we go. We're gonna start with this offense, and we're gonna see on the defense, of course, the sniper. We're not gonna see the tornado.
Yeah, but we still have, of course, the Pale Rider being utilized here, so just the consistent damage, and it helps out, especially when it comes to the larger health pools of DOMs that you have to deal with. Right now, just Chickle peeking around this corner, and this is what I'm talking about. The consistent damage coming out from Pale Rider makes it so difficult for Methods to keep a team up, and they end up going down. I mean, they don't even have the Methods, never mind they had the Unicorn, but that single target fire, and now they charge forward with the huge HP advantage, with the huge man advantage. They even go for an Eagle Peek up against that Gym Sniper, but they will go ahead and back away and reestablish themselves here on the defense.
That's the rule. When it's a sniper battle, you got to go for the Eagle Peek, you know? Like, it's not something you choose to do or not. Your body just does it. But there we go, the axe going in. We're not going to land on anybody. We did see that surprise axe hitting in one of the previous games around this particular corner, and that was a bit of a jump scare. It was followed up by the sniper. But here we go, a huge coordinated push around this left side mountain, and this can be a very difficult spot for the sniper to get the good angles in. In fact, they might just be pushing up on the sniper, and we're going to see actually, wow, they're going to take down at least 3 people here, or no, now it's going to be 3 people, 4 people on this side of Bork. That's rough.
Yeah, this defense is just so good, and this is what we're talking about. The defensive hold when it comes to playing over here at Harbor City, this is why teams actually play over here in the city side on the left-hand side on the push, just because they can go ahead and back away and try and let the enemy team kind of overextend themselves, right? You can take some damage because as you're falling back, you have so many health packs to actually rely upon. And while you're trading away damage against the opposing side, ultimately you generally end up with the HP advantage if you retreat properly here. But it's also coming down to this Pale Rider has been clutch, not just in the damage department, but we know how strong the healing is for the Pale Rider.
Yeah, which is so important to have that extra healing to stay out there because that run back is so rough and you do not want to get picked. But we are going to see some picks here. It looks like Keki wins the sniper battle against Carl Sagan with a little bit of an assist, but Carl Sagan goes back up and then gets the counter snipe. Wow, what a storyline within just 3 lines on the kill feed. But they are holding decently. It looks like this push might be the one that makes it. I don't know. This is a bunch of skirmishes in a bunch of different areas. We see Glitch going down immediately. It looks like that's going to be Yuka going down as well, and this probably is going to be the hold. Just so many skirmishes in so many different areas. Oh, they're all on the other side of this building. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Hades is popped here, and he could just get the staggers, but the overhead throw possibly? No. That was the Screaming Nimbus actually sending him skyward, surprisingly enough. Keki does have his ultimate up, which means he can take those snipes from mid-air, but he ends up going down. It's Carl Sagan once again, and this staggered push is getting punished, but they do have the regroup here at the very least on the left-hand side, but now they have to wait for at least Exponent to get onto the front lines before they try and make charge forward. Axe in, it actually narrowly misses. He's gonna go ahead and charge forward. But again, they're doing such a great job on the defense, playing around these health packs now. He doesn't have a shield anymore, and he will get hunted down by Exponent. Clearly trying to play this one like an Exia player here, and they will clean up a few more. But Carl Sagan and Holistic are still alive, and it's just a war of attrition. 2 members on the point is getting contested, and Bitey comes in with that butterfly to clean things up.
Very nice. Yeah, plus of course that Exia just being such a great counter, that shield, but there's still so many people on the point here, and yeah, this looks like there's gonna be a little bit of harassment, but the big fear here honestly is that we did see, yeah, okay, Glitch was over there. I was gonna say if they actually let Glitch a little bit longer, that might have been a really annoying stagger. Glitch still is gonna have to run back pretty far, so they might just blitz this choke point here. We'll see if they even have time to.
Yeah, he's able to get that forward spawn by changing units all the way at the back spawn there, and so he doesn't have to go for that really long run back. They're going to try and jump on over. You can see him getting focused down. Nice scan, though. We'll go ahead and give away the position of, like, 3 members there on the left-hand side for Team Sucky Vacuums, as now Bork pushes forward. Bitey and Kaki have found 2. That's Legacy and knocks down. We'll see, though, the Pale Rider up top. Carl Sagan is able to get a res along with that pick, and he has been multitasking this entire day.
Playing a true support, GM Sniper. But wow, look at this. It's all sniper kills on the feed right now. Okay, there we go. Finally, we're actually going to see a huge amount of the players on the side of Team Sucky Vacuum go down. They're down to about 3 players left, and they're not in a super good position either. Tizim's finally going to go down. Carl Sagan's going to go down. Carl Sagan did at least trade for the sniper, but this is a brawl right here, and it looks like there might be a chance to push up onto this point, although it looks like that wave of respawns might prevent it.
No, the Pale Rider and the Gym Sniper putting in so much work for them. Screaming Nimbus there in close range. I think he actually got the knockoff onto one. Glitch actually might have been the one that got knocked off there, and they will not be able to get the res onto Exponent. So now it's going to be the regroup coming out from the defense here. They need to get Exponent back on in, and he's expending these axes a little bit early just to try and get into the fight and get back to his team quicker. But that does mean Legacy will have a window of opportunity actually win out that duel, but never mind. It doesn't even matter. Tizim is just able to one-clip JP, take him down. It's a 3-for-1 exchange. Only Glitch falling on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums here as they're able to just push them back and now play for that choke once again.
Yeah, he sees him just flying around the boxes, playing like an Ashimar, except you're on a totally different character. Luckily had some things to stand on, and that was a really nice clear. They're going to be pushing Bork all the way back towards this choke point once again, and just the team comp and the level of aiming on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums is going to make this particular choke point so scary. And right there, we're going to see Liston get picked by Keki, but Bitey goes down, Expedient goes down, and okay, get a little bit of trades back and forth. We're actually neither team's going to have their tank anymore, and Carl Sagan as well getting taken out.
Yep, and it looks like Carl Sagan will get brought back into things. And so this duo of the Pale Rider and the Gym Sniper has been putting in so much work. Again, you use that axe to get back into the front line, means you don't have the stun. If you go into the zombie battles, he does dash away, but he does not have the health back, and he needs to rely upon the healing there. Tizim ends up finding one with the Hades, and again, another headshot. He's winning out the sniper duels time and again, is Carl Sagan.
Yeah, this is, I mean, honestly, great sniping from both sides. I love the fact that we're seeing this, the committal to both snipers. Looks like Bai's gonna go down. Well, by that throwing axe, the throwing axe was actually the one to take him out. That's a surprising shot. I always love seeing that, but yeah, this is rough. This might not be Exponent surviving for very much longer. There's a little bit of a distraction in there, but there is no health pack available. The rest of the team is not doing super well, but actually gets a little bit of a pick here on Glitch. Kiki's going down as well, but it's going to be at least 4 up, maybe 5 up on the side of Bork, and they're going to be pushing around this building, which can be a terribly painful choke point, but it is somewhat working. They're getting closer, but they are getting picked as well.
Yeah, Legacy is able to find that repair gun, quite possibly can be used here to try and get it back. No, Kaki was just a little bit too far. Trans Am popped mid-air, and that is so scary when you're dealing with a sniper on the other side, leaving yourself in that mid-air animation like that, but it wasn't quite punished. Carl Sagan is able to get the res onto Listic, and that's going to allow them to push forward. Listic finding 2 off of that res. They're going to send them packing once more. Turn A shut down mid-air. He does get the knock, but there's the res onto Nox, bringing him right back into things. And now there's only 15 seconds remaining. That means it's going to be a mad scramble to try and just get onto the point, but they haven't even been able to touch it at all.
Yeah, this is not looking super great. That's going to be a pick on the Ashmore, trying to sneak around, at least get somebody on the point to try to break people away from that choke point. But here we go. This is a good amount of damage on Tizim, but the picks are going to come out, and that's going to be almost a full team wipe to end that. And that is 0% going on to point B. Team Sucky Vacuums holding extremely well, like they did on the previous map, but this time on Harbor. I almost want to call this team just Team Right Click, man. Between the sniping of Carl Sagan and the pale riding of Tizim, it is just, you just cannot do anything out in the open. Like that turn A G maneuver got melted in like half of a second. That was ridiculous.
And we already talked about how good the focus fire comes out from Team Sucky Vacuums in the initial fight, right? Or in the initial first map at the beginning of the day when we were on Mountain R&D. The RX-78-2 was brought by Bork. Every time that super napalm came in, Tizim was on top of it. And so the target selection coming out from this squad is just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, they're so well coordinated. On top of being this this is a really all-star squad, they are looking really unstoppable here. This might be kind of like the new team to beat. I mean, Bork still absolutely has a chance here, but now we're kind of in the same situation where it's been a near full hold in 2 games. Bork did of course take that first point, and that second point can be really difficult. This is totally entirely doable. But we got to see who ends up winning in especially these early sniper battles.
So again, lack of Pale Rider could be the deciding factor here, because it wasn't just Carl Sagan, right? Tism was also contributing very much to the kill feed throughout all of this, but that pair of the Pale Rider and that sniper combo is just so good because, yeah, there are some units that don't instantly go down, but hey, just a few bullets coming out from the Pale Rider will go ahead and finish them off. You get that 1100 headshot onto a Dom or onto the Suzabi, and that's going to basically lead them one shot. And so you really do need that follow-up damage from an additional DPS source.
Yeah, wow, look at this. This is a really confident push forward, just not expecting to even get shot at all. Tizim just understanding the correct angle. Is going to stand on top of this building. It's going to be a really nice high angle, and I don't even know if they realize that he's up there. They realize eventually, but that's already been a solid amount of damage. They're going to have to back up. They're going to have to let all the other people from the other angles come in, and that's going to be Legacy down taking down Keiki. That's going to be actually 4 members now down from Bork. It looks like this point A is probably going to go the way of Team Sucky Vacuums very quickly.
Yeah, Carl Sagan is able to get that repair gun, basically, and get Legacy back on up. And now they're going to charge forward. They don't want to be held at this choke, but they could also use this sightline right here. When the enemies make the cross, the Gem Sniper can go ahead and pick that one up. You do need, I believe, a jump boost. There we go. And use that box, and you can see the instant fighting. Glitch is up there to control it to make sure that the sniper on the other side cannot get a foothold. Glitch does end up going down, but again, maintaining this presence, making sure that Tism is up here to at least try and challenge is so strong for them. Now they've got 6 minutes and 40 seconds to get just 1 tick there on point B.
Yeah, I love the fact that they ran through the choke immediately, like before they even fully picked up the zone, but they were able to be stopped, although right now, I don't know how easily it'll be for them to get stopped. Looks like Carl Sagan goes down again to the sniper. We're still seeing the sniper battles here at the same exact choke point, just on the other sides, and yeah, that is just such a valuable... Oh, actually, Keiki going down, so not going to have that option. The Ashmar flying all the way above. That's a pretty vulnerable spot to put yourself in. Not going to get punished, really smart, going to be able to go back down just when needed. Looks like Team Sucky Vacuums is going to slightly push through this chokehold, but not quite free to push the point yet.
Yeah, they still need to deal with the sniper on the left, and they just haven't been able to get a foothold there on the opposite side. They've been trying to go for those flanks. Glitch has been there as that Axia player along with, I believe the Suzabi might have tried to make his way on over to help him out, but you need just a little bit more here, and you can see why the Suzabi is so crucial when it comes to these sniper battles. Just giving yourself a little bit of an extra angle, but here it is, the Screaming Limb is coming out, but you can see they are split up, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. Ashmar punch just to try and delay things. He ends up getting 1 knock onto Nox and finds the second one onto Tism. Huge play coming out from Yuika there, but it's still exchanges coming out as Listic finds one along with Legacy. They're going to go ahead and charge forward now, use that repair gun to get topped off. It looks like the defense might have been able to hold.
Yeah, they definitely have the numbers advantage. They're sitting back here kind of behind the tower, not letting anybody poke around either side directly. And then look like that, Legacy going down again. They're all pushing forward the perfect time. A little attempt right here just to sneak by with the Exia, but Glitch is going to go down. And now, again, they're staggered. This needs to be, I think, maybe a retreat into a regroup here. They had some sneaky attempts to get around, but the coordination of Bork on defense here is just really showing.
I could be wrong, but I believe it might be possible to make it from bridge to bridge as an Ashamar. And so if they want to try and go for an Ashamar flank, you don't really have to go over that wall first. I might have seen a clip where I've seen an Ashamar go from attacker's bridge to defender's bridge.
Yeah.
And that is an option for them to try and go for, especially because you also have that gym the gym jump pad to give you a little bit of extra clearance, a little bit of extra height to go first. But here it is, Trans Am gets instantly shut down. Glitch not getting any value off of that. Bork, what a beautiful hold coming out from them. Now they're going to get aggressive, but Exponent does get punished for that. Doesn't matter. Alternate with that Screaming Nimbus will go ahead and clean up the rest of the squad.
Yeah, that is for sure a defensive hold. But to answer your question there, yes, you can absolutely go bridge to bridge. You do flight into your full glide into your flight again, and you don't have any stamina at the end of it, or boost meter, I should say, but you can get bridge to bridge 100%. It's just you are pretty vulnerable the entire time if somebody looks to their left, but we're not going to see that. The Hades being popped here from Tazim, and we'll see if we can get any kills off of this. No! Sniped immediately, and then finished off just barely. So that is going to be, again, another G maneuver completely shut down. It looks like Carl Sagan got a pick, but I'm not sure if there's enough players on offense to take advantage of it.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here, and both sides have been struggling to try and get their way over to that B points. Right now, though, there's still plenty of time for Team Sucky Vacuums to work with. They've got the Ashmar Punch. They've got the Unicorn Ultimate coming up as well. And the first knock, Listic going down, getting that repair gun. Remember, it's a super long cooldown, like 30 or 40 seconds. I can't quite remember how long. And so that will be down for them, and they won't be able to use it mid-match. Jump on over. We got to see them before, or at least from Powerpuff Girls. It's still getting shut down, though. Exponent finds one. That's Legacy going down. And so they've got the extra tanky body, but Carl Sagan is able to take him out and still hits him with a headshot.
Wow, yeah, that's a shotgun. It's a shotgun, I'm pretty sure. As long as you hit him in the head, it's like a one-shot close kill, but they are going to get that much closer to winning. They just need a little bit more on the point. It looks like somebody's contesting it. I don't know how long they can contest it for. There's going to be Legacy. We're going to see Tazim pushing forward. A few different other members. Tazim's going to go down. It looks like a lot of defense are going to sit on the point. They're going to start losing a lot of that progress, and they might get staggered. There will be time for another push if this does not work out, and it certainly does not look like it's working out. They're gonna have to try at least one more time. That was so close to working.
Uh-oh, Exponent goes down there, but they have to make sure that their Suzabi stays up, and Legacy ends up going down, so that's a 1-for-1 exchange. They're not gonna be able to res him either. Bitey has fallen, though, to that Methus. Now they end up losing out on one more, but Tazim, as he tries to peek that corner, gets headshot, and one more. So now it is coming down to the defensive snipers from either side, proving invaluable here as they're trying to fight onto the point, but they do not have the numbers. Trans them in the back line once again shut down. Glitch cannot get anything going so far with this Exia.
Yeah, it's just been such perfect focus on the side of Bork. It does look like there is an opportunity here still. There's a few people up on the offensive side. A lot of the defensive respawns are coming in, though. I think they may have to regroup. They're actually getting picked a little bit here. This is going to delay it even further. Yeah, look at this. This is getting pretty tough. Bitey's going to go down actually now, though, and Expo. So this is actually a really good chance.
Oh.
But shut down to Zim, going down to the snipe. Strong snipers on both sides.
Yeah, just going for these peaks again, you just cannot do it. You need the help, you need the backup of basically your Suzabi player. You need that extra, just a little bit of cover, just in case maybe he eats up that bullet instead with the shield. But oh, a nice Ashmar punch! Oh, knocks them down like bowling pins, and now that's gonna stagger them. So this might come down to just one final scramble just to try and get to the point, and they pick up a stagger onto Glitch. Things are looking more and more dire.
I love how I think that was Tazim who was like watched his teammates fall off through the wall. That was a great moment. But yeah, only 37 seconds left. Now remember, all they need to do is get on point and hold it for just a few seconds. It's only one tick that they have to beat. And there we go. We're actually gonna see Expo go down, but Tazim and Listic and everybody else basically going down all at the same time. It looks like that G maneuver was huge. Glitch is gonna try to sneak onto the point with only a few seconds left, but undoubtedly we're going to see the entire team turn around, try to stop him. So many on the bridge. This is the final opportunity to push if anybody can even get here within the next 10 seconds.
Oh boy, that's a 1-for-1 exchange. Nox goes down, but it's Bitey who will be able to get that respawn a little bit faster. Backing away, they're just trying to get onto the point, but they're so low in HP. Legacy, though, and Tism with the Hades now are able to clean up a little bit more, but Tism is still alive. He charges forward. He is on the point. We've got Glitch here as well, and he is the only one trying to take things away. Bitey gets here just in time. The overhead throw as well knocks him off the point. Two bodies are here. Glitch and Carl Sagan get cleaned up, and now the defense are coming back with the respawns, and they will thwart this push.
Oh my gosh, that was so down to the wire. So completely down to the wire. Now, I know it does say, I can't believe so many different funny moments happen right there. Now, it does say draw, but I do believe that in our timebreaker production, could we get a confirmation on if that it does actually end as a draw or if that ends in one particular victory? I just want to make 100% sure. I want to make 100% before this thing, but I gotta say, the moments the Ashmar punch over the water on like 3 different people was amazing, and then seeing that overhead grab at the very end, overthrow to just like completely just yeet backwards, get off the point was so funny, and that's very difficult, of course, to land in that particular situation. Exit can sneak around so quickly, and if you miss it, you're wide open. So really important spot to hit. So yeah, great stuff, and you know, we saw such amazing holds on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums, but Bork, they're clearly got it too.
And this is actually quite exciting because this is going to be the first time now that means we get to see Lunar Comm Station as the tiebreaker for this map. I know it's kind of weird saying we go to a different map for the tiebreaker, but I'm always there for Lunar Comm Station. It is a map that we have not seen once because it is not in the pool. It is always there for the tiebreaker, and I love it just because it's such a different take when it comes to a domination map, right? Usually you kind of see it like it's a horizontal symmetry when it comes to the map design, but this one, it's a vertical symmetry, and then you have the points in that also same vertical kind of approach. And so you have all ABC lined up for you. Teams can fight initially out the get-go from spawn. I love this map.
Yeah. So that's the kind of like the tiebreaker situation. I think, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember exactly what Craze called it when he first announced it. But if we do end up going to Lunar Comm Station for this, it's a really interesting map because it's so different from domination, the other domination maps, I should say, because of the run that you have to make to get to see, right? Like the fact that it's like vertical and both spawns are on the sides rather than just the horizontal is so interesting. And we tend to see, I think, some different suits because not only that, since there's so much wide area on both sides and in the middle of each of these points, we tend to see some closer up matches. But yeah, so can we get 100% confirmation? It looks like there is confirmation in the chat that we are going to Lunar Comm Station. So I'd love some confirmation just again from production just on exactly how all of this works. Like if that is a win, is that just the second win of the game for one of these teams? Just since we're not quite at the end yet, but regardless, I mean, I'm glad that we're seeing the life out of Bork. They had some tough spots, but that was such an impressive hold.
Yeah, it was fantastic to watch. I mean, especially with how the sniper battle was kind of favoring Carl Sagan at the end of the defense. We have to understand that like the defensive sniper is much easier to play than the offensive sniper, right? You're waiting for teams or opponents to kind of walk into your sight lines, which is what we got to see a lot of. Tism ended up walking into a lot of sight lines of the enemy sniper there often there. And so it is a little bit easier to play, but either side, honestly, it was a very commendable effort from both Carl Sagan and the Bork sniper.
Yeah, that was really good. Really, so many picks from both sides. Now, okay, I did get confirmation that so that map was considered just again not a win or a loss for either side. It's not like it's going to be a double win and then we're going to go to a tiebreaker or anything. It's just going to be overall just one exact tiebreaker for that game. So that means that the score should still be 1-0 on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums. And here we go. We are here on the Lunar Comm Station. We're going to be starting with B off the bat, it looks like. So that's going to be the middle situation, the middle spot, and we're already getting into it. So let's see. We're going to have an RX-78 on the side here, but we are going to have to wait to see the other comp, I guess.
Yeah, neither side really opting for that initial fight right at the beginning, both of them taking the left and the right-hand side respectively, but can see now that they're going to fight over this high ground initially, as they do have that heal pack thrown down first. There's as many to utilize here, and it's already been popped on the left-hand side as they try and charge forward. It's going to be the first pick coming out from Carl Sagan. He's on that Ashmar, and Ashmar is such an incredibly strong unit here on this map.
Yeah, this is, you can see that the team culture is very, very different, and look at this. These up-close spaces are going to treat a lot of these units like Sazabi very, very well. We're going to see a lot of kind of like side pushes. You know, there's the opportunity to flank from the forward angle, which is a weird thing to say on this map because of how it's laid out, but here we go. We're going to just see so much damage coming out of the Sazabi. Expedited taking down 2 players, still, of course, taking on the Sazabi from the last map. It was working out very well, fully understandable, but 2 get picked up as well.
And so now with 25% here for Team Sucky Vacuums, they're doing a great job. They might actually be able to get the full 46%. We do have that right-hand side getting pushed now, but it looks like they're already setting up for A, which is so super important, but it's so easy for the transition to take this high ground. I don't know why that you would be up here. It has that lone tank on Exponent. So 2 crucial picks. They get the full value off of B, and they'll have full control over A.
Yeah, now, of course, A is one of the... It's a very different site than a lot of the others. I mean, this is, again, you've just got very different sites on all sides here, but A is so close to the spawns. This tends to be the brawl spot. We are going to see Tizim go down. We're going to see, actually, a decent amount of players on Team Sucky Vacuums go down, but this is going to be so many different brawls, different skirmishes in different areas here. It looks like we see the activation of the G maneuver from the Unicorn, I believe. It's kind of hard to see if that's actually what that was, but we're not seeing any kills from it.
Yeah, it's these last picks, though, that are so crucial right now, and getting that pick onto Carl Sagan will give them numbers advantage. When they get the respawn, they're right back on point. Exponent trying to hunt one down, but the Screaming Nimbus comes in. Kaki does end up getting that kill onto Legacy, though, but maybe they trade back onto Exponent. No, he stays alive. The Unicorn ultimate being used as well, but there it is. Glitchstream comes in with that dash, is able to clean up 2, and it is going to be Team Sucky Vacuums that end up flipping the point on over, only giving away 3% there on A. And the next shift will be going on over to C.
Yes, we are going to get every point all in a row. Yeah, you see this offensive hold trying to stop people at their spawns. This is a really obnoxious spot to get held at because when you're out running outside of your spawn, there's actually this like long walled hallway in a weird way that you could run forward. If you get hit, you have to run pretty far back to get the heals again. And that's why we're currently seeing so many players just be annoyed trying to get in there. Nice, picked out of the air. Very nice from Tizim.
The A to C transition is so hard for the team that has to try and retake because you can see the sightlines are right on open. Pale Rider just gets free shots as they try to make that swap on over, and that allows them to find the picks and then move early on. 22 seconds left, and I'm surprised that he's actually lurking behind here with that Hades available for himself, and he does spot out one. He must have heard him, but he ends up losing out on that duel. Glitch is here, though, to back him up and get that res, bring him back on into the game. Now that leaves only 4 players onto the point as it unlocks, and now the funnels are going to be utilized here by Exponent as he tries to take this duel up against his opponent's side. The Sazabi will go down. Bitey finds 1 as well. It's going to be Moist, though, with the Unicorn ultimate that finds 2. And now they finally get a foothold on a point.
Yeah, huge team fight win here. I don't even think they lost a single person going into that. It was really well coordinated. There was actually pushes from different angles, and that's one of the scariest things about C is that you can push from a lot of different angles. They're going to be holding, of course, just on C. You really don't want to have to try and run back or hold a forward position because you essentially are leaving yourself just wide open. But it's very hard to push. This is supreme high ground if you own this spot.
Now for the retake here for Team Sucky Vacuums. They are onto the point. They almost actually flipped it. A nice flank coming up from Tizim. Ends up getting that knock onto Moist. They end up losing out on Legacy, but it's still a 2-for-1 exchange, and they have the numbers advantage. The point is still getting contested. There's really only 10 seconds remaining onto it, so they don't really want to expend anything here. Just pick up whatever they can, maybe get some staggers, but the run back to A is going to be so much more important as they try and retreat. They don't lose out on any bodies. And now they've got the team basically split up. You got 2 members running into A, run that C side, and oh my goodness, the armor gun just in time to keep Tizim up, but they lose out on Glitch. It's a 1-for-1 exchange as Exponent falls, and now you can see trying to take that duel up against that Ashmar as he falls back for another heal pack. Throughout all of this, Carl Sagan knocks all of them, picking up more kills onto Bork Gundam. So now Team Sucky Vacuums will have the man advantage on A.
Yeah, and maybe even more importantly, having that man advantage means that you can try to push for that high ground, which is a very not vulnerable high ground, a very safe spot to kind of hide up there. There's not a lot of sight lines to it, which especially if you can get, yep, you can see right there. I was about to say you can get the Pale Rider up there. That is huge, but Exia, of course, playing from behind is going to be a great answer for that.
But he gets instantly focused down. The entire team turns around onto them. Trans Am popped there. for Team Sucky Vacuums, and now with 99%, there it is. The Gundam Ultimate comes in, but I don't know if it picks up anyone here. It's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums taking the first round here on the tiebreaker.
Yeah, this is another one of those maps, I think a lot like most of the domination maps, but this one in particular, maybe not quite as much as Mountain R&D, but maybe more so than the other, is a spot where you can go from one point if you're winning to the other, especially, of course, if you're in the middle point. The I guess lines of transportation are very, very clear, right? Like you just walk up one ramp and suddenly you're at the high ground for A if you just won B. Or if you just won A, you can just walk down the ramp and suddenly you're at the high ground for B. So this can be a map for sure that can be run away with if you start taking the momentum, if you start, just holding the high ground and move to the next one, especially with how far the runbacks can be. If you start winning at, for example, C, you can stagger their entire team, and then once it switches over, they might not all be in the same position to push back to A or B. So it's certainly an interesting map. It's very unique amongst all the maps, but Team Sucky Vacuums, of course, just playing extremely well. It's so hard to beat a team that's so mechanically strong on any domination map.
Yeah, C is such a punishing point to actually lose a fight at, especially if you're the one that's if you're the team that's trying to go for the retake. But here we go, I'm going to the second round now of Lunar Calm Station, and it's going to be fairly similar. This time around, it's going to be over at C, though, that our teams have to rotate into, and we have the Instant X coming out. I imagine that's going to be from Exponent, because he has been a player that does go for a little bit. No, never mind. It's actually going to be the Team Sucky Vacuum side, and they're going to go ahead and flip all the way down to the lower side, take that jump pad up. We have the Exia battles, it seems like, on the outside here on the hunt for the flank.
And I think we have a slight change. We don't have the Suzabi anymore on this side. We do have the Mara side, though. And I'm going to assume that this is going to be the switch back from Expo to go back onto the Exia. I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll see pretty soon. It does look like we are going to see Glitch go down, though. And actually, we're trading I think it's a 2-for-2 right now. So they are just fighting so hard for this C point.
Yeah, but they get the res onto Tism, which is so important. The Pale Rider coming up, that's going to allow them to have the extra heals on the point, the extra damage as well. And now Exponent goes down. So it's C, once again, it's such a brutal point to lose. And so that's basically the entire 46% that should be coming in. And right now you can see they have to set up for A so early on.
Yeah, that is, like you said, it's very punishing. Like, if you lose C, you have to make an awkward decision. That's really what it comes down to. And they made the decision to just immediately move to A, but also, it seems like Team Sucky Vacuums decided to move to A immediately. So, I'm not sure which is for the best, but oh my gosh, everybody's all in the same little hallway up here. I'm surprised when people didn't die quicker. Exponent is going down, though. Yuika is going down as well. So, Team Sucky Vacuum is going to continue to, and then taking down Bitey, continue to hold this A high ground for quite a while at least.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is if Team Sucky Vacuums even left anyone at point C, because it felt like all 6 members were here, and it was just such a foregone conclusion that they decided, yeah, they're not even going to send anyone here. We know this. We kind of read their minds, and they're going to deal with this. The Flyers, though, giving Tism a little challenge there, but Carl Sagan with a 3-man punch comes in and just shuts down this push as the point unlocks. That's going to be an easy take for the Sucky Vacuums.
And Carl Sagan adding yet another, I guess, suit to the roster of suits that he's used within this tournament by adding that Ashmar. Unless it was an Ashmar earlier that was just for a little bit, but that's extremely impressive. You very rarely see the punch finish blow up, but here we go. The Trans Am to try to retake this high ground. It's going to work essentially pretty well, taking down 2 people at least up top. We're going to see the no Dom as well to add to the armor, prevent this damage. And this is one of those spots where we're going to see Expo's extreme aggression work out very well. That's going to be a retake. There's still a decent amount of time left on this. They're probably going to hold it and then have to transition over to B pretty soon.
You can see that the move is already being made on the other side from Sucky Vacuums. They were moving in from the left hand, and oh boy, you got to be careful there, Expo peeking 3-man, and Moist did not get the memo there as he tries to charge on in. Will he be able to find anything at all? No. The Unicorn Ultimate will go ahead and finish him off. Now Yuika is able to pick up 1, but I believe they might be able to get the res onto him. Never mind, he finds a second one with the help of Alternate there, but the fight over B is not quite over yet. Screaming Nimbus has been popped as well, and here comes the run back now. Alternate finds 1 more, but he ends up falling. Glitchstream picking up 2 here. Point still hasn't even unlocked yet, and they're still fighting over this. Trans Am has ended as Glitch gets taken out, and Legacy will fall as well. The res is coming through. They cannot deny it. Exponent goes down as Carl Sagan brings Glitch back up.
Wow, this fight is just never ending, but you can see at least finally 4 members have grouped up over there, and we are going to see them push onto the point here. This is going to be Tzim, who is just tracking all of the people trying to fly over the sides. Glitchy moving into Hades, and this is a huge pathway down to a lot of the enemy team members. This could end up with a lot of kills. They're all going to back up, but it doesn't matter. We're going to see a pretty aggressive chase from the entire team here from Team Sucky Vacuums. That's going to be at least 4 down on the side of Bork, and they are going to hold B for so long. And I love this, a really aggressive hold to try to stop people from even making it back as they're trying to take this tiebreaker round here. They only need 1 more percent. Can anybody get on point in time?
The flyers are there. Yuika touches it, but that's all as he gets instantly melted. 4 members down, and now it's left to just this Dom who's not even able to get a toe onto the point, and that will be Sucky Vacuums winning out on this tiebreaker and now securing the 2-0.
Wow, they again, you know, I really have to look back at that particular moment where at C, you pointed out so correctly that they were like, oh, we have 15 seconds left on C, let's leave, you know, let's move over to A already. I think that shows again that Team Sucky Vacuum has just a ridiculously high level of experience on every single map. They feel so confident in all of their calls when they want to rotate on even literally the most rare maps. Like this isn't even in the map pool, right? This is only purely a tiebreaker map. I love that we got to see it, but they were ready. They were ready for every single situation on this. They're ready for Ministry of Defense. They're ready for Harbor. Like, they have just been so expansive in their knowledge of everything, but that doesn't mean that they're going to go up 2-0 in the set.
Yeah, I think comprehensive is like the best way to put it, right? It's just the well-rounded knowledge of basically every map so far. They play this one out extremely well. Again, Lunacom Station's still one of my favorite maps, and I'm so glad that we get to finally see it after, what, 4 tournament days that you and I have cast over the last month? Yeah, over the last month, because we had Halloween Havoc delayed just a little bit here in November. So I'm so glad we finally got to see it, but I mean, such a dominant performance there on both rounds coming out from Team Sucky Vacuums. Now it's coming down to match point and tournament point here for them in this final map. I'm trying to go back and figure out what the 3rd map was. We're going over to Thermal Plant to finish things off, and it'd be poetic if we ended where we started the day.
It would be, but also I feel like if you are Bork here, you got to be scared, right? You just play against Team Sucky Vacuum. You do very, very closely on Harbor. You're like, okay, we can take them in these long fights. Then you go to a domination map and they dominate, right, on the domination map. And now you're like, okay, well, now for our final potential map of the tournament, we have to go back to another domination map, and you have to immediately make that adaptation. So that's a scary spot. But also, just before we get into this next game, I got to give a shout out. We had some huge donations. We had Unruly, we had Baddie, we had Spoo, and we had oh my god, I'm gonna say your name totally wrong. Tisan Luxic SN. I'm so sorry I'm saying your name wrong, but all of them donated at least. Wait, is that Lux?
That's Lux.
That's Lux. That's not how it's supposed to name. It's not supposed to name. But that's at least $100 from each one of them into the prize pool for these players. So huge shout outs to all of them. Is that really Lux?
I believe so. I believe so. And I did misspeak, or at least misremember. We started off the day with Mountain RD, but it's still domination for domination. Thermal Plant is still going to be an exciting match to look out for. Again, this series, despite it being a 2-0 so far, has had wonderful moments from both sides. So I'm still excited, even if this goes 3-0 in favor. If this goes 3-0 in favor of Sucky Vacuums, I'm still super excited for how this match has played out.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I'm really glad that we got to see the Harbor City match. We got to really see the strength of Bork in just how effectively they can deal with a lot of the different offensive strategies that we see out of Team Sucky Vacuum. So that was really them showing, like, we can stand up to you toe-to-toe 100%. But the question is, how can you deal with such strong mechanical skill on these domination maps? So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but Thermal Plant, it's pretty different, right, than what we saw in the last map. So we'll see if there's any sort of changes as far as like suits, right? The run back to any single spot is not as far as the run back to C on the previous map. And we see a lot of these like closer range suits, a lot of flankers more on this map. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just been such a standout performance from either side when it comes to these domination maps. We saw how tough it was actually for for Sucky Vacuums when it came to Mountain R&D. There's a reason why they banned out Mountain R&D. So these domination maps are so scrappy between both teams. It just felt like, yeah, there was a little bit of a better understanding, but also kind of a little bit of the snowball effect when it came to what Lunar Calm Station can be because of the nature of the spawns. So I fully expect that Thermal Plant will be completely different. I feel like it will be a bit more on even footing when it comes to it because, again, the nature of the vertical versus horizontal symmetry in the map design.
Yeah, and you could tell too, aside from the fact that I said the team Sucky Vacuums was obviously extremely confident in all of their plays there, you could also tell that Team Bork might have switched things up a little bit. Obviously, they changed up their lineup, so maybe they're thinking like, well, let's try this, and obviously trying things works sometimes, but you got to make sure that you're confident in your choices, and it just feels like there maybe was a different level of experience on the map. So hopefully this time around, it's a lot of experience from both sides, which it probably should be since it is part of the normal map pool.
Yeah, so just a few more seconds before we get into the next map, and we'll see if, of course, Team Bork Gundam can send this over to a map 4, maybe even get us to a map number 5. Well, it all has to start here. It needs to be the perfect reverse sweep for them to try and keep their tournament hopes alive. And right now, though, it seems like our tournament favorites, I mean, our first team that we looked at when we came into it, just seeing the star-studded roster like you can constantly call them because they are that. They have been absolutely dominant, haven't dropped a single map yet. I mean, the closest is the draw on Harbor City. That's the closest they have come to bleeding so far.
Yeah, not even necessarily a loss. They just didn't win for once. But yeah, like honestly, if we had the Olympics of Gundam Evolution and we had to send a team of like, well, I was gonna say US players, it doesn't even work because they got like legacy and stuff in there. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily work. But if we had to take like some of our top players, like an all-star group from all the like GNL tournaments, like that wouldn't be a bad one to send, right? Of course, there's a bunch of amazing players, and there's a bunch of amazing players that we actually aren't seeing this time around. So I'm really hoping that we do get to see a lot of these players come back next time. For example, like Spoo, like I don't think was in any of the teams that I noticed, or we've seen a few of the different players that were on, for example, like Bozos or Inarizaki that haven't come back, and hopefully we see them soon. We miss you all. We miss seeing you play.
Yeah, again, sometimes like the timing just doesn't quite work out, right? We did have a major holiday here in North America, or at least here in the United States, and so some people might have had other obligations to do, and we completely understand. So you take your time with your family. But here we go. We are loading into our third map of the day, Mountain R&D, and we do have the Zaku range sighting. And I imagine, are you seeing that Mountain R&D thermal plant? And I imagine that this is probably going to be Bork Gundam actually popping that one out.
Yeah, that's probably we're gonna see. Well, actually, no. This is a slightly different comp than they've had before, even when they did bring up the Zaku range. So I'm not sure exactly who's on what. Yeah,
it's Sucky Vacuums that's actually popping the Zaku range here. Listic ends up picking up 2 there on that Dom, fighting over that range top, and this is so surprising. So no Pale Rider actually coming in for Thermal Plant, which is so surprising because it's so strong on every map, but in this one in particular.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying something out here. I mean, if you get to Zim's tracking on the highest DPS technically suit in the game, and if it's in that range, that is maybe one of the scariest things I could ever think of. If I want to see one player play this suit, it's probably going to be Zim. So I'm excited to watch that a little bit more. But we're going to also see the Zaku 2 melee. We're going to see the gun tank. I don't even know what's going on with the comps here. We're just having some fun. We're seeing some new things we haven't seen all day.
Oh boy, that's a 2-for-2 exchange. KK has gone down along with JP, so the fight going a little bit in the favor of the other side until Exponent is able to even things out. But throughout all of this, they've only gotten to the point for about 6 ticks now. They need to stay alive. Alternate finds one onto Glitch as Exponent falls as well. Both X is now out of the fight, but it's going to be the respawns coming in. That Zaku 2 melee, what can he do? How long can he delay? And he's actually doing a great job of delaying until he ends up going down. So Bitey does buy a little bit more time for his squad, and now we're going to be swapping on over to point C.
Yeah, this is definitely doing as much damage as I thought it was going to do. I'm surprised that they put Keiki on the gun tank. That's like one of their best like head clickers, like with that extremely strong showing with the GM sniper. Surprised to see them on a suit that doesn't require any aiming to hit them at least primary shots. But I'm interested to see how C is going to go. C is usually a pretty polarizing spot here. Some of the teams are particularly better at C, and right now we're actually still going to see the 2 players from Bork go down before they even really get a chance for it to open.
Yeah, that's going to be an instant take coming out from Sucky Vacuums there, and they are expanding upon their lead. Transam is available here for Exponent, and he is getting the target super low. You can see that he's just chomping at the bit. Trans Am has been used here, but they lose out on alternate throughout all of this, and now they have backed away. They do find one knock onto Nox, but they don't get any value off the Trans Am. Unfortunately here, Exponent does in the end get one, but he gets taken out by Glitch himself, who has been the better Exia so far on this map.
Yeah, just been in the right positions, and they are playing a lot flankier on the side of Team Sucky Vacuums this time around. So this is going to be really tough for them to deal with if they can't watch both their angles, you know? I mean, having two people flank from different angles at the same time can be, oh my, that damage is so disgusting. You just instantly die. I'm telling you, this is the strongest melee weapon in the game, but yeah, not gonna be able to escape this Exia. Already using the smoke grenade, just eventually getting chased down. One of the biggest reasons I think why we don't see more of that is because of Exias, more of the range Zaku. But here we go. A is going to unlock soon, and we just have such a heavy lead here for Team Sucky Vacuum.
Yeah, 73% to the 17 of Bork Gundam. They end up losing out on their Sazabi. Now they are delayed, and at such a crucial time too. 12 seconds before the point unlocks. No, they actually are able to find one more, unfortunately, there. And so Exponent will get cleaned up. He did not have that health pack to fall back on, unfortunately, now, as the respawns are coming in, but they just need a full regroup. They basically have no time here. It's going to come down to one final push to try and take over the point, but that can't happen. You can't lose out on your tank.
Oh, we see the Screaming Nimbus go all the way into the spawn, basically. That's how aggressive that was. Just saying, go all the way back. You cannot be here, but Glitch taking down so many suits. Three suits alone just from one moment from Glitch. It looks like maybe even potentially a fourth right after that, but look at this. With all this damage coming out, they are just not able to make any sort of push. This should be it. I don't even think they can get on point at this point. Just completely controlling the door for A, and that is first round. Very solidly to Team Sucky Vacuums. They only need one more round to become the champions.
And it's so hard to call what like went wrong, right? I think part of it might have been like, I don't want to say the counter picking, but the surprise value of them swapping off onto Zim, right? I feel like maybe he thought that the rush was a little bit too strong coming out from Bork Gundam, and he felt himself getting focused down on that 70 or on that Pale Rider a little bit too much, and so he wanted a little bit more self-reliance, a little bit more mobility on that Zaku 2 range, or if they just fully wanted to just go for a little bit more of a rush composition themselves. And this is great. Having that gun tank, if they stick with it, does provide that extra bit of utility, that extra little stun that you can charge in with his team. So there's just so many things going on here. I don't know if we're ever gonna have the time to break this all down.
I know. Stop switching. Stop switching. Give us a break. Come on. Do your casters a favor. No, okay. It looks like we are not going to go. Okay, they're just trolling at this point. They're it's like, oh, are we gonna go gun tank? Are we gonna go Zaku 2 melee? No, they're gonna go the exact same comp that they went last time. It makes sense. It worked really, really well. Now on the side of Bork Gundam, I think there's a good chance we're gonna see some switch. Mahiru, no way.
They are out the gates with, and so they've got the Mahiru for this one. So this is a map where Mahiru actually just shines because there's so many angles, so many funnels, so many choke points that teams can play off of. But he needs to land those Nendo grenades. It's not quite buffed yet, and he does not miss. He actually misses the stun onto that one, taking a lot of damage as they try to approach. But they get the first knock. That's gonna be Glitch going down. That's gonna be a 2-for-2 exchange, though. As you can see, Tism is able to find one more along with their Dom going down, and so they're gonna send them packing. And once again, it's gonna be Sucky Vacuum taking the point first.
Oh, just melting. Not able to actually quite get the finish there on the Unicorn Gundam. Zim going down to the Unicorn Gundam in the end. Just a slight miss, but still, regardless, it looks like Team Sucky Vacuum is going to be holding on to that point for the first segment at least. There's a few run backs, but I'm not sure if Gundam's going to have the power to push back in. I do think this is probably one of the best spots for Mahiru in the entire game. This particular spot on this map, because this choke point right here, there's so many people running in there for the health pack, and then on the right side, you can kind of stop them from entering in one of their two areas. But right now, actually, we're seeing a pretty good example of that. None of the big stuns landed, but this is going to be at least looking like probably a retake for Bork Gundam, or I guess I should say a take, since they haven't taken anything at all.
Yeah, this is just a really good stagger, and Carl Sagan ends up actually finding 2 off of that. Tism is here for the backup, so they don't even get a single percentage point here on A, despite fighting so roughly for it. Now we're going to be sent to the opposite side of the map, point C. We've got 2 G maneuvers available here. It's going to be the Heat Axe along with the Ashmar Punch. Large CCs, large linear CCs coming in for this squad. And C is definitely a point where you do want a large linear CC.
Yeah, this can be a weird one from a hero though. Oh, nice, going with the full G maneuver, and that's gonna at least kind of help pull down to a slight numbers advantage. But Carl Sagan again taking down so many units all in a row. I don't even know what it was that time. Must have been the flame grenade. But this is going to be a huge numbers advantage for Team Sucky Vacuums.
It was the punch axe combo, the patented punch axe combo coming in. That's what we were talking about, the 2G maneuvers they had available, and well, they were all lined up for it. You can see that they were biding their time, waiting for the full grouping, and they were able to establish dominance with that. Now they do have the Screaming Nimbus coming up along with that Trans Am. The funnel's almost available as well for the Suzabi, but they might not even need it. Tism just charging forward, he's fine too. That's gonna be X1 and the Khaki down. The third one quite possibly, but he will ultimately fall. But the value has been earned from him, and now they clean up the rest of the squad. Only the Suzabi left. And now point C just going almost fully in the favor of Sucky Vacuums. It's going to come down to A once again.
Yeah, and this again, this could be the final point of the tournament. We're not going to see too many switches on the other side. It does look like the Mihiru was dropped. They're going to go for a little bit more towards their more generic lineup, but this is their last chance on the side of Bork Gundam. They have to win this A point. They have to hold it for the entire 100%. Basically, there's very little leeway, and we're going to immediately see Tizim with the push forward. Can it take out the Exia? Whoa, nice iframing through with the smoke grenade. Really strong play, ending up really low, but not going to either, fall to anybody, but still Glitstream taking down some others while this is happening.
When it comes down to the schoolyard brawl, though, it's just going to be Sucky Vacuums being the bullies here. And now with the point taken, it is just a matter of time. The 3-0 almost coming in. Tism still alive. The Heat Axe to get the final finish there onto Keiki as Yuika will fall as well. The the Mega Health Pack being fought over for now, but overtime ticks away, and that's going to be Team Sucky Vacuums securing the 3-0 win here in the Grand Finals.
Just as dominant as we expected on the domination maps. That looked so convincing, but they didn't lose a game the entire tournament. They did not drop a game. They got one tie, which is still very, very impressive from Bork Gundam. I think that was some of the best that they played throughout the entire time, but they just weren't able to match this new Team Sucky Vacuums. Of course, they were the champions of the very first tournament of this series, the pilot showdown with some slightly different players, but now they are potentially looking even stronger with just this group of all-stars that are looking unstoppable. Just like I said, their mechanical skill alone is ridiculous, but they've proven that they have also that synergy in comms, that synergy, the unspoken synergy. They're ready to focus on things that happen without even having it be called out. We saw so many times where something would pop up, either be an Exia or a turn A G maneuver, and they just immediately jumped on it, which is just no time to actually call that out. So just an amazing team, easily setting themselves up as the ones to beat, and now the only team to have won 2 of these tournaments so far.
Yeah, and in the way they did it, a 3-0, that's just a standout performance. I mean, I was expecting this to at least go, I guess technically it did go 4 maps because of the draw and because of Lunar Comm Station, but you know what I mean. I was expecting it to go to a proper 4 maps, maybe even 5, especially with the kind of fight that Bork had at the beginning of the day when we started off in the winners finals there on Mountain R&D. They put up such a scrappy fight that it was such a close 2-1. It was absolutely insane.
And we have had so many strong players, of course, from literally every single person on Team Sucky Vacuums, but just throughout the entirety of the tournament this past couple of days. But we do, of course, have the Bloodline Card Shop MVP, which was voted on by the chat. So let's see who the chat voted for. It was either the chat and on Twitter. Let's see if we've got that ready, because I do believe that the votes have been counted, and it's going to be Batty on Team Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, Batty was doing a standout job all day long. I mean, it's so difficult to just want to call out one MVP because we had so many different moments across the 3 matches that we saw today in the winners finals, in the lower finals, in the grand finals. So many amazing players ended up stepping up to really provide so much entertainment and amazing plays for us, but Batty definitely does deserve a shout out for that.
Yeah, and again, that was all voted upon by all the viewers, whether it be on Twitch or on Twitter. So definitely the crowd favorite here. And I mean, that's one of those teams where honestly, I talked about this before. I feel like it's so impossible for me to choose my personal MVP this time around. I think it was a little bit easier in the previous tournament in Halloween Havoc, but I feel like all these teams are just finding so much closer synergy with each other, and all of their plays are dependent on each other when it comes to just how they've played, especially within like the top even like 6 of the teams that were in this tournament. So it's really been difficult for me. Congrats again though to Batty. However, we do have our own kind of production MVP pick as well. That's going to be the Gods Gundam for today. And I honestly did. I opted out of the vote. So let's see what it is. It's going to be Carl Sagan, of course. Cannot get better than those shots that we saw, especially the sniper shots on those first 2 maps.
No surprises there because he just, he expressed so much, what is it? Maneuverability, not maneuverability, just such a huge depth in units that he was able to play, and at such a high level as well. Not just from seeing the GM sniper, but also seeing the turn A Gundam. We got to see so much different play coming out from him today that he did really show and highlight the different facets of his gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, we're so happy that Carl Sagan and Legacy are back in particular. Of course, like I said, those are the 2 carryovers from the version of Team Sucky Vacuums that won the Pilot Showdown a couple of months ago now. And they have shown that they're still just as strong. Of course, they weren't able to enter the last one just because of, I don't know, whatever reasons. I literally have no idea. But we're glad that they're back. And now I'm hoping that we're going to see even more people back for the next one. But on a personal note, I want to give a shout out to every single team that entered. It's so impressive that we got so many people to enter right after the holidays, right before the major patch. I know we're all super excited to test that out in a couple of days, but a lot of times we see people that are like, oh, I don't really want to keep going, like we'll play more once the patch happens. But you all showed up. It was the best tournament that I've seen so far for this. So close in skill, so many great showings. So shout outs to all of you. This has been a really great community, great showing, but that's it. We've crowned our champion. Do you have any last words to say before we move on here?
No, I'm just super excited. Season 2 is shaping up to be an amazing patch, right? It's going to come in with a new unit along with a new map and expanded features here for production. At the very least, we got spectator mode, we get coach mode, we get game pauses, everything really that we could ask for at this point. And we'll see how they continue to iterate upon this to help out the community, the competitive scene and the community as a whole. So super excited for what Bandai Namco have in store for this game. I'm just really looking forward to the future of Gundam Evolution.
Me too. I'm sure I'll see everybody on lobbies within the next few days, but that's it for us here. Again, huge congratulations to Team Sucky Vacuum, our champions for today after returning missing a month. Huge congratulations, of course, to our other placers as well, but they will be your champions for Gundam's Grace. Keep up with the socials. Be sure that you are paying attention for when we announce all of the next tournaments. There's a bunch of other stuff coming up. I hope everybody, though, enjoys the new patch, enjoys the holidays, because that's it for us. Stay tuned to our socials. We'll catch y'all next time. Maybe.